Hey, hell, y'all gonna have to check our streams for me.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, aka Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Tonight's a new day for the C3 Panthers Podcast. We're trying this StreamYard mess out. See how it goes. We need you guys in the chat room to tell us that the audio is working perfectly, then the video is working perfectly, and that I'm hanging out with the perfect homeboys. Cody Lashney being my main man. What's up, bro?
Tony Dunn, what's up, brother? Listen, we have a brand new GM whose name I'm sure I'm going to butcher a million times from here to next season. There are new betting odds on Deshaun Watson going all kinds of different places. And, man, listen, it's a Tuesday night. There's nowhere I'd rather be than here with the boys talking some Panther football. And we're going to do it with the best fans on all of YouTube, man. My cousin, Chef Jeff, Supreme Leader, 10 Tizzy, Trill 1, Ben S, Jason Lewis, John Kidco Barrera, Lewis Taylor, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
These are my people. And CK is one of them, the master of all streams. I'm going to put my yellow glasses on, too. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Just grinding it out and, enjoying this offseason a little bit. I am happy to, just be here, man. Just enjoying things, watching the playoffs with the Saints losing. Anyway.
I told you it was going to happen. I knew it.
I knew it.
Happen.
I knew it.
They were frauds. And basically they had a Teddy Bridgewater for quarterback. Michael Thomas, what do you think about that, Cody? Come on. Michael Thomas, no catch, whatever it was. It's like a big goose egg of a game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Drew Brees is a geriatric of an old quarterback, and they've been in the situation to win 4 times in a row, and they couldn't do it. I kind of think that Sean Payton and the play calling leaned a lot on Drew Brees, which I don't understand because it was clear to everyone that he was struggling, not only moving the football downfield, but even like reading the defenses and coverages. Like a few of those interceptions, dude, he threw right to the Tampa Bay defense. Like, I mean, I don't know. There are 2 teams in the world that it makes my heart smile whenever bad things befall them, and that's the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. So the fact that they had a 4-year window where they were dominant in the NFC South, dominant in the NFC overall, and still didn't get the job done, like, dude, there's a whole lot of misery business in the NFC South, and right now the Saints are bearing the brunt of it, and I love it.
All right, the number is 252-228-5098. You can be a part of the longest running Panthers podcast around. That's right. Might not be the biggest, but we've been doing this podcast every Tuesday night for 8 years now. Longer than the Panthers will even do it. So smash the thumbs up button. Be a part of the conversation. Sit beside me at the slot machine. That's what these people are trying to tell me. I look like an old lady and the Vegas slot machine. That's fine. Sit down beside me, man. It's like watching casino together. Hopefully we will be winning the lottery with Deshaun Watson, because that's what we're going to be talking tonight, folks. We got Deshaun Watson to the Carolina Panthers, the favored position by some people. I guess some bookie, I think it was like Bet Online AG, said we were the odds-on favorite to catch Deshaun Watson in a trade. That would be interesting for the Carolina Panthers. Joe Brady on his head coaching tour did not land his spot, so he might be back. And what's his name? Scott Fitterer. I need to make
Fritterer. Well, Roger Federer is the tennis player, so it's not Federer, but I think it's Fritterer.
Fritterer.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do whenever I have a last name that's hard, I find like if you figure out the perfect way to say it, you can almost kind of sing it like a song, and it just becomes embedded in your brain. That's what I have to do for like a lot of Polynesian names and stuff like that.
Okay.
We're gonna have to.
Anyway. Hopefully everybody in the chat can let us know if the new stream, if the audio is looking or sounding solid. They always question me about my levels because I'm always screaming into this mic right here. So hopefully everything's looking good, sounding good. We'll get the overlays and the backgrounds going well in the future. All right. So number one, who did we hire and why did we hire him is the question. Scott Fitterer. What? Say it again. Fitterer.
Yeah,
Fitterer. He's a good fit for the Carolina Panthers. He's a good Fitterer. Comes from the Seattle Seahawks, right? Has been there for 19 years or some crap like that. Like, straight. Oh, did you hear? How about this? Is last week when we were on the show, we were all, who did we say it was going to be? I announced it.
Guy from 49ers.
Yeah, something Peters, whatever. Something. Okay, so I can't even remember his name. That's how quick I forgot it. But so the news comes out that they were going to hire this guy. What is it, Scott? Is that what it is, Scott Fitterer?
Yeah.
I don't want to call him Bruce Fitterer. I feel like Bruce is what I want to call him, but Scott Fitterer. So did you see the Panthers released his name? They were like, we offered him the job. And it was like a good 7 hours or more, maybe even a day before it was confirmed. And then the Panthers media was fighting back. What did you think? What did that make y'all's radar? Because I thought it was a wild situation.
It was weird. It was weird to me because it was being reported that he was linked to us, but then I never really saw the specific post that said that he was officially our GM. Yeah. So for a while, it like felt like it wasn't really confirmed. So, I don't know. That's our guy now, though. You've kind of, been beating the drum on this, Tony. I do feel like Charlotte media has been left a little lacking.
I agree.
I mean, just in how they just kind of feel not on the ball, and the content that they're giving you is like, it's very much similar to the Carolina Panthers right now. It's very stale. There isn't a lot new. It's very kind of one-dimensional. And I felt that way in even the reporting about our new GM. Like, I felt like this news, for as big as it was, kind of came and went without a lot of fanfare.
Who does that really fall on? Is that like, does that fall on the media for not being? Look, first of all, I understand actually in the local media, like the Charlotte Observer has been contracting for years, right? I mean, if you think about it, they used to have 3 of the best writers. They had Jonathan Jones, who was straight out of college, who's now with CBS HQ. Joe Person was there. They have all these jerkwads like Fowler and this, but they used to have like 5 people covering it. Right now, we can't even read the Observer without paying for it, which is, I understand, they're trying to make their money. You understand that. But is it the media? I almost feel like, and again, this is something I've said on this podcast, is that I feel like the team should be driving the media more. Like, why is that? I understand, like, the Charlotte Observer's barely staying alive, right? The Athletic is tried to make a giant push, but basically they just got one beat right. They're just a national newspaper online. The Panthers organization could be, they should be a drive. They are their media. And I got to say, it's been lackluster for a while.
Yeah, I mean, the most I've learned about Scott Fitterer was reading the Darren Gant story posted on Panthers.com, talking about when he was playing baseball. He used to be a pitcher, and he had real prospects to play baseball, but before he started doing the whole football thing. So, listen, from all the reports, Scott Fitterer is a guy that's good at the draft. He's always been involved in scouting players. You look at some of the most successful drafts of the recent years for the Seattle Seahawks between 2010 and 2014 to 15. They really hit on a lot of good players that they had. I mean, they built a team that went to the Super Bowl. And apparently, according to John Snyder and other people in that organization, Scott Fitterer played a hand in that, a really big hand in that. He was on the pro personnel side, and that's something that is his specialty. So, that's exciting to me. I mean, honestly, this is not a name that any of us had mentioned. He wasn't on anyone's radar. Kind of came out of nowhere.
The last couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Didn't go up like on a Monday, have a second interview on a Wednesday, and then he was hired.
The thing that's interesting is how quickly things moved. It reminded me a lot of the Matt Rule hiring, right? Because what they did is they found their guy and they didn't hesitate, right? They had these other guys in place, but then all of a sudden Fitterer comes in and he just blows them out of the water in some way, shape, or form. It's encouraging and it makes me hopeful because the organization seems to know what they were looking for, and Scott fit the bill. I mentioned last week what my biggest concern was that I was the two GMs at the top of the list were coming from organizations that didn't value the quarterback position as much, right? Whereas the Seattle Seahawks, the quarterback is one of the most important parts of it, and so I think that this is going to be something that we're going to see translate. And from what I think most people are predicting, our organization, the Panthers, are going to be making moves this offseason that may, we're going to be making some splashes.
Let's switch to that discussion right now. So for weeks and weeks on end, we have tried to, I guess, unravel what Carolina. I feel like we've been trying to unravel Carolina's quarterback situation since they cut Cam. Right. I mean, weeks on weeks means like 18 weeks on this podcast, but we have all seen, even the Teddy Bridgewater defenders to the end realize that going forward, it's just not a reasonable prospect, right? It's not. So people have speculated, is the draft the way to go? Or is free agency the way to go, which seems bizarre since we still owe Teddy a significant amount of money. But now stories have emerged more and more of Deshaun Watson's unhappiness in Texas. Yeah. But then it just multiplies. Not only have those rumors emerged, but it's been kind of confirmed by Deshaun Watson, right? So it's not just a little swirling and it just feels uncomfortable. Everything you see when it comes to Deshaun Watson, and then we say, hey, Carolina, seriously, we never get nice things. We don't get nice things. We don't get Ferraris. We don't get this and that. We get a leftover Lincoln log set and Teddy Bridgewater. We don't get nice stuff. And we say Deshaun Watson can never happen. But Cody, you came on this show weeks ago and said this was when we were in a much better draft position. and you laid out this plan for us to trade up for Trevor Lawrence. And I got to say, I'm ready to trade up for Deshaun Watson. Screw Trevor Lawrence. Screw anything. I would have proven. Give me, it's got a few miles on it, but boy, is he amazing. Come on, I'll give it all. Deshaun Watson to the Carolina Panthers. Is it even a shot? What do you think about this conversation, Cody?
I mean, I love it. Look, I'm a Clemson fan. Okay, I never really watched Cam Newton when he was in college at Auburn. I kind of had to learn about him retroactively, and then I studied him and really found out why he was incredible. And then he became a Panther, and that's been my reason for loving the Panthers for the past decade now. But with Deshaun Watson, I mean, I've known and been aware of him since before he even went to Clemson. I mean, he was an incredible high school quarterback in the state of Georgia, broke a ton of records, went on to Clemson, and then you all know the rest. I mean, he won a national title, broke all kinds of records for passing yards in the ACC. And listen, this is what's exceptional about Deshaun Watson. When you look at the type of numbers that he put up this year, 33 touchdowns, almost 5,000 yards, 7 interceptions. Dude, Deshaun Watson is on another level. Like, this guy
there's 7 interceptions, bro. Like, they were like 4 after like he must have had a bag at the end. You know what I'm saying? They were insane. He was 30-5 or 30-4 at one point. It was awesome.
I saw on one of those networks that no other quarterback who has ever had those kind of numbers in the history of the NFL has ever failed to make the playoffs. Like, Deshaun Watson is the first one. And when you look at the history of players in that organization, everyone knows that, the Houston Texans is not a player-friendly organization. I mean, you had the owner talking about letting the inmates run the prison and then them trading DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, one thing after another. And Deshaun Watson is saying, hey, I'm done. I don't know if I want my career to be wasted here in Houston with a bunch of people that are going to fail to build a competent football team around me. Some might even argue that Cam Newton at one point in his career could have, and maybe even should have done something similar. But Deshaun Watson, if he does this, look, it's kind of unprecedented, right? A franchise quarterback of that level, forcing himself out of a team, basically calling his shot to whatever team he wants to go to, because his contract has a no trade clause. So he is the only one that can lift that clause. So Deshaun Watson, whoever trades for him, he gets to have his pick of what team he wants to go to. Like, Deshaun Watson has a really unprecedented situation right now. I don't know how likely it is that the Panthers land him. We're picking at number 8 in the draft. And another thing that Panther fans would have to, understand, and then I'll pass the mic on this, but Tony, you can back me up on this. I've been very consistent in my message that you have to pay to play. And if Panther fans and Panthers, if this football team is really going to think about acquiring Deshaun Watson, you might flinch when you see what kind of haul it's going to take for the Panthers to be able to trade for him. We're for sure going to have to trade the 8th pick in the draft, probably another one next year, and maybe a second-round pick this year and next year. I mean, who knows? But for that kind of player, that is the kind of trade deal that you're talking about. And you have a brand new GM who's now having to pull the trigger on that kind of a trade. I mean, man, that's a lot. That's a whole lot for your first couple months on the job.
I made a slight adjustment in my own audio settings. So please, in the chat room, if you notice a difference, let us know. CK, Cody says it's going to be a significant haul. Maybe Well, obviously, 1 first-round draft pick, maybe 2, maybe a third. He didn't even mention a player up in there. But I'm at the point, CK, where I say whatever. What I don't care. I heard Cody's pitch for 2 rounds, basically, or whatever he gave us for Trevor Lawrence, and I got to say is that I'm not ready to give up all of that, but I'm kind of at the point where it's like, what, 2 firsts, the third, like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. What are your thoughts about? I'm not the likelihood, but are you ready? You ready to do whatever?
I'm ready to do everything at this point in time.
Yes.
I showed hesitancy in wanting to trade away the next 3, entire draft, picks and whatnot, which is still a bit steep. Don't get me wrong. For an unknown commodity. I mean, Trevor Lawrence could be fantastic, and he has all the makings for it. But there's also a reality that exists that there have been some top prospects that have not panned out, that have been the greatest thing to ever come out of college, and then not made it actually work or translate into the pros. So trading away for a non-commodity or a commodity that's not known for something like Deshaun Watson, and as opposed to it, Deshaun Watson's proven time and time again he can carry a team to a victory. He can be the only
less risk, right? There's less risk, and it just puts you in a position to really know what the future is going to be, more so than what it's been the past. What would you say? Just at least the past 5 draft picks with the top 5 draftee, people that were drafted in the top 5. There's always been question marks around them every single time. Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Daniel Jones. I mean, it seems like that list can go on and on. We don't have as many questions about Deshaun Watson.
No.
Here's a comment in the chat room from Austin GT. I would love to have Deshaun Watson, but realistically, it would cost us too much. It would make more sense to move up in the draft to get Fields or Wilson. I don't think there's anything wrong with this perspective, but what I disagree with here, or what I say is different, I don't see the same, is I think Deshaun Watson would be cheaper than a Justin Fields or Zach Wilson when it comes to what it would take to trade. Right? Yeah. Is that like, I mean, if you are, I guess, who are you talking about? You're either talking about Jacksonville, who is going to pick Trevor Lawrence. Come on, like, don't give me that mess that all of a sudden, he's going to pick Justin Fields. So then it comes down to Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. But this is where I'm with CK here. Is I do both. Look, Justin Fields, there's a ton of upside, but it's not 100. And the same with Zach Wilson. Deshaun Watson is 100 now and could be more later. And his discontent with the Houston Texans, Cody, what would be easier to get? The number 2 pick or Deshaun Watson?
I mean, I really don't think there's going to be much of a difference. Either one, you're probably going to be giving up a first-round pick or a 2 at minimum. And that's before you even start to talk about trading players and all that other stuff too. So you're talking first and second round picks. I mean, keep in mind that even moving up in this year's draft is going to be harder to do because, one, there are other quarterback needy teams in front of us. And I want to continue to drive this point home. There are 4 prospects in this draft. Say what you will of them, but each one of them show traits of being legitimate franchise level quarterbacks. And there are 4 of them. So our options are we either pay to play to go get a proven commodity in Deshaun Watson, who has already proven that he can elevate talent around him and boost all elite talent around him, or you're going to pay to play to move up to get a quarterback and take a gamble on one of the guys that you like best. One of the things that we haven't talked about yet with all these coaching jobs being filled, it does look as though Joe Brady is going to be returning to be our offensive coordinator for another year. Now, that does change
What
the
a
dynamic.
bum. What a bum.
It's
This
a feather
dude
in our
could
cap.
not even get a head coaching job
There were so many available.
after 6 months of being an offensive
I
coordinator.
don't think there were a lot
There
of
were
available.
so many available. I thought at one point, you're right, CK, is that it wasn't. I didn't think he was really gonna like he's not a bum.
I thought last week for sure. Like last week, I was.
Right.
I thought there was no doubt in my
17
mind.
teams open. It was like Joe Brady was. I felt like he was interviewing for my job.
Well, look, let's be real. A lot of the shit that we all said on this podcast, and even I said, I agreed with. Like, I played the devil's advocate on why I think our team would sign him. But listen, we all agreed that, I mean, me and Joe Brady are the same age. You know, you might be able to call all the best plays, but, you know, there might not have been any indicator that he was ready to do all the things that are required when you have to be a head coach in the NFL. And I feel like, teams said, he's not quite done yet. Let's leave him in the oven a little bit longer. But that does change things for us. And I mentioned that's a feather in our cap. Because, when you have an offensive coordinator like Joe Brady, it does attract talent. And Zach Wilson was already on record talking about, he does like Joe Brady and he could see himself in Joe Brady's offense here with the Carolina Panthers. So Zach Wilson doesn't get to call his own shot. But when you have a quarterback that's saying he likes your offensive coordinator, that might make the magic work. The third and final option is, technically there are 4, but number 3, you just sit there at number 8, don't move, equipped with your brand new general manager, and hope that one of the guys that you're looking for falls in your lap, either Justin Fields or probably Trey Lance at number 8. Or some articles have written and hinted at Fritterer Federer. I told you I'm going to fuck up his name a million times.
Fritterer. Just say Federer. It's like the tennis player.
Yeah, okay, Federer. So Federer is actually, if you look at the Seahawks, they've traded down a bunch in their history. They're a believer in acquiring picks. So, this is it's opened the door for us to even be able to trade outside of the top 10, which I think would be terrible to do right now. But to your original question, the difference between trading up in the quarterback class or up in the draft to grab your quarterback or trading for Deshaun, I mean, you're probably going to pay a little bit more for Deshaun, but again, you're paying
I don't think you pay more
talent.
I think you paying less right now to get Deshaun Watson. I think you pay more money. Right? That you obviously you have to pay his salary, which is going to count against the salary cap. But I think from us to move to 8 to number 1 would be far more expensive in draft capital than for us to go from 8 to whatever it took to get Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take multiple firsts, maybe. It's going to take this year's first. Next year's first.
Well, 1 is out of the question. You're talking, what is it going to cost to move to, say, either ahead of Atlanta? See, that complicates things. Your division rival also will have a new coach and GM, and they're picking at 3. So and they might take a quarterback. So do you move ahead of them? How much is it going to cost to move into the top 3? And that's to your point. Like, it's probably still
I think it's cheaper to get Deshaun Watson. I think financially it's more expensive, but I think his discontent with the Texans. Now, I've been watching. I was hanging out last night watching YouTube. I was watching the Panther Nation podcast. Go check those homies out, and they were. I would say this is why you guys gotta watch all the shows. Right, and you got to get all the opinions because we hang out with these guys. Like, it's not like they're Saints fans or something. But I had different opinions on them. They said this is they were settled in with the idea that the trade could not happen because Deshaun Watson, obviously he has a no trade clause, but it's not like they were like you. But ultimately he would have to approve the team. And they said over and over that Watson and Cam are boys. And that their relationship there is that Watson calls Cam. He says, like, what you think about this trade? And Watson would accept his opinion. Obviously, Cam probably isn't like the most cordial person about the Carolina Panthers. And I don't disagree with what they were saying about what Cam would say. But I don't believe that Carolina is a worse destination than the Houston Texans for a guy an owner that called his players monkeys at a zoo or whatever it was.
No.
I don't think that.
No,
like,
really,
I just don't think that Carolina is viewed as a toxic place, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not toxic, but no one has the stench that the Houston Texans do right now. They have.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's a good way of saying it.
They have thoroughly botched this on a ridiculous level. I mean, telling Deshaun Watson that he was going to be involved in the GM hiring process, which is really kind of unprecedented. Like, when do players ever have a say-so in hiring a GM? Like, what would they even know about the guy anyway? If it's a coach, okay, you could say it's a coach. Maybe you have a friend that plays with that coach that recommends him or whatever. But Deshaun Watson felt like this organization could very easily go south without his input, and they still didn't get his input. They requested for the Texans to interview two people, Robert Saleh and Eric Bieniemy, and they're just now getting around to Eric Bieniemy, and they didn't even request to interview Robert Saleh.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I feel like they asked to interview Eric Bieniemy 2 weeks after people brought it up that it was like, why aren't you guys interviewing anybody that's black, basically? I mean, I hate to say it like that, you know what I'm saying? But it was is that the Texans were like the first open for the job. And I mean, really, they were. They fired Homie like midway through the season. And then they were they already hired their GM. They all did this. And Deshaun Watson's over there like, I would love to have a say in anything. And then they still don't interview the black quarterback for like 2 more weeks. I mean, the black potential coach. And I hate to make it just only about race, but ultimately, Eric Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator on the most sensational offense for 2 years, homie.
Yeah,
it's insane. I'm sorry. Why is it? I mean, I'm not saying just give him a job. I don't know. I've never interviewed him, but he was barely on the interview list. That's the weird shit about it.
Yeah, and again, that's what I'm saying. It's understandable why Deshaun wants out. And again, I question either of you to try and remember a time where a player on the caliber of Deshaun Watson in the middle of his prime basically forced his way out of the team that he played for. I mean, Adam Schefter.
Diggs did it.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, a receiver receivers move all the time, it feels like. But I'm talking about a franchise quarterback.
Oh, that's a great question.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like, this has the potential to be a real unprecedented scenario. Yeah,
wow. I love it. All right. So Deshaun Watson, we would give up the moon, right, to get him. Like, we would give up whatever. I'm like, I would be more willing to give up collateral to get Deshaun Watson than I would be to move up to get Trevor.
I mean, yeah, I don't blame you, Deshaun.
And I just feel like it would cost less, and it's a proven commodity. You know, ultimately, I'm buying the most beautiful car. It's 2 years old. It's got a few miles on it instead of the Bentley right off the lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If
all right, how about this? All right, what would you do, Cody? You're GM. What do you do right now? You have the can you trade for Watson? Do you do it? Yeah. And then what do you do? If it falls through, then you try to trade for What do you do if you're the Carolina GM? Scott Fritterer walks into the door. He's got the 8th pick. We hear these rumors of Watson. We have the fan noise of moving up and up and up in the draft. You have Cody Lashney laying out a plan to move from 8 to whatever to 1 in what impossible. But tell me, how do you do it if you're Scott Fitterer going forward?
Fritterer. Well, he needs to be on the phone with the Houston Texans almost all the time. Maintain a dialogue with them. As the situation evolves and updates, let us know, because we are interested in Deshaun Watson if this is something that's going to happen. Now, it might not happen. This might be a big hullabaloo for nothing. But maintain constant dialogue and go through evaluations and, do all the research possible that you can on the quarterbacks in this class, and make sure that you're prepared if a Deshaun Watson trade isn't able to be executed. So, number one, I would be compiling whatever the package I'm going to send to Houston is. That's what I'd be working on right now. What mixture of players and draft picks can we send to the Houston Texans that gives them enough value to recoup, losing a franchise quarterback in Deshaun Watson? And yeah, it's probably going to be a lot. So, I mean, I don't know what that deal would be. I would let that kind of change as the winds blow. And then if you couldn't pull that off, like I said before, I think you have to be prepared to try and move up in the draft this year. And you have to have a bunch of reasonable scenarios for the teams out in front of you. So, for example, let's put it this way. We haven't mentioned this. A bad thing for us is if Houston goes to the Miami Dolphins, because then that means that now Houston is picking number 3. They just lost a franchise quarterback. They're for sure going to be drafting a franchise quarterback.
Negative. That trade is going to include Tua. They're going to take Tua, and then that's going to be a much more valuable trade for them to trade back to 8 with us. That's what I was thinking about when this happened. I know there's a lot of moving parts, but let's say Miami were in play and the Houston Texans got back their number 3. The only thing is like they're not going to just get it straight up. They're going to get number 3. They're going to get Deshaun Watson, and then Tua is going to be a part of that as well, right? There's no way Tua stays in Miami with that type of a trade.
Right.
So I think Houston would obtain Tua. I think that they would roll the dice with him. Then I think they'd be more open to the idea of trading back to 8. 8 is a lot better than where they're at now.
But why? All right, maybe though. Yeah, they bring in Tua, but maybe they still draft another quarterback anyway. I mean, if the Dolphins might and would move on from him, then it might still benefit them to draft a player, even if they sent Tua. I mean, I understand that reasoning. I would hope so, but I mean, listen, we have to be real about what people are saying about Tua Tagovailoa. And then apparently Dolphins players were like anonymously reporting to some Miami paper that, man, they really didn't believe in him, and they were wishing that Fitzpatrick would have been the quarterback for longer than he was. Like, there was a whole lot of drama surrounding that whole Dolphins quarterback situation. So I don't know, man. I don't. If a team ahead of us trades for Deshaun, that is bad news for us, because the Texans are going to have to recoup a franchise quarterback, which is what they're losing.
What's the order go like right now? Right, it goes Jacksonville, then it goes the
New York
Jets.
Jets, then it's the Miami Dolphins via Houston, then the Atlanta Falcons are at number 4.
All right, here, let me go and stop you before we get once we get to Miami's position. The sad part about this is that that's a quarterback spot. Right now, there's been enough smoke around Tua, like you said. Right? I mean, there's too much. People watch it. There's doubts already about this arm strength. And not it's like he's got a hurt shoulder. It just doesn't exist. So you have the Dolphins at, 3? Via the Texans? And then who cares if it's traded in or out? It's a quarterback position anyway. Right? I mean, ultimately, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
So Jacksonville needs a quarterback. The Jets need a quarterback. The Dolphins and the Texans, particularly if the Texans trade Deshaun Watson, need a quarterback. Who's 4?
Number 4 is the Falcons.
All right, so you could say, all right, the Falcons don't need a quarterback because they got Ryan, but even they are sort of in play in some weird trade scenario, but doubtful. Who's next? 5?
5 is the Bengals.
No quarterback.
Nope.
Even though they could. Imagine that. Imagine if Justin Fields is sitting there and the Bengals go, you know what? Homie's knees jacked up. Let's get him. All right.
That'd be terrible.
Who's after that? Yeah, that would be messed up. Who's next?
Philadelphia Eagles. So now it looks like they're probably going to stick with Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Why? Why is that?
Why
what the hell is going
there? Out now.
Tell me what the fuck happened in Philly.
So
I don't understand what happened.
It was one or the other. It was Carson Wentz or Doug Peterson, and the Howie Roseman.
Why?
And
what did he do? Did he bang his wife or something?
I think Doug Peterson understands the limitation Carson Wentz has. I think that probably has a little bit to do with it, and the ownership realizes that Carson Wentz is still a big part of their future plans, and I think that he's hoping that they didn't, put as much value in Wentz as they did, and then just to get rid of him.
How could that relationship be so impossible, though? I don't understand that. I really don't understand that. Doug Peterson has got a Super Bowl ring. He came in there and made them from nobodies to awesome away.
We can make some assumptions as to why. I mean, do you think that coaching for a team in Philadelphia is stress-free?
So the Philadelphia people are the problem?
I mean, listen, if you have an opportunity if number one, you're not given control of your team the way you want as a head coach, on top of being in Philadelphia where the Philadelphia media is not nice, the Philadelphia people are some of the most, let's just say, difficult people to deal with on times, in certain times. Mix that all together, and not really knowing where the future of the franchise is going to go because you're not in control of it. I think it's a recipe for disaster.
Brad Holt said there was a report out that said Wentz was uncoachable. I heard that too. That apparently
uncoachable. You know why? Because he went to North Dakota State, a school nobody ever heard of.
Your next quarterback might be from North Dakota State, and you'll like it because it's not Teddy Bridgewater. But Carson Wentz apparently didn't. You can never blame it on him. It was always someone else's fault. The
Carson Wentz though?
Yeah, the Carson Wentz, and the coaches never came down on him when he messed up, and apparently everybody gave him all the credit for that Super Bowl season, even though he didn't finish it. So I don't know, dude. There's a whole lot of problems with that organization, but overall, the fact that they're picking ahead of us, it's not the worst team to be picking ahead of us because it does signal that you paid Carson Wentz all this money. You do have it on record of him performing at a high level in 2017, and I actually kind of commend him for not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. To be honest, it's not like he's a Teddy Bridgewater that doesn't have the arm talent and doesn't have the mobility and just doesn't have the ability to read the defense. Like, Carson had a bad year, and for what reason? I don't know. Maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't.
I don't think they need to fire everybody, though. Peterson, all right, I'm not going to, this isn't an Eagles podcast, obviously, but I saw Carson Wentz, and he sucked. I'm just not ready to get rid of a Super Bowl coach right away after a couple years. All right, I need you guys to tell me what I think this was Todd Gurley would say. Can you hear this? And I need the people in the chat room so I can go do the cat calls on this new interface. Can you hear the?
I can't hear anything right now.
You heard nothing. All right, I'm sure. Try. Let me see.
No. You're out of order. This whole court is out of order.
You can hear that?
Yeah.
Can you hear?
The hoot with the dogs, you better soar with the Eagles. Exactly. And I think
I can hear that.
I heard those two.
All right.
Yeah. That sounded like you drunk in a courtroom.
That was Todd Gurley, and I tell you this is a sage piece of advice right here. I'm gonna play it one more time. This is Todd Gurley.
When you want to hoot with dogs, you better soar with the Eagles. Exactly. And I think
if you want to hoot with the Owls, you got to soar with the Eagles. It's a sage piece of advice. So that means is you can ball out at night. You can do your whatever you want. All the ladies, all the trap houses, all the whatever expedient to your desire is, as long as you ball out on Sunday.
Soaring like an eagle.
You got to soar like an eagle.
You want to hoot with dogs, you better soar with the Eagles. Exactly. And I think
it's a good line, man. I'm telling you.
You're going to be able to play the cat calls to this new equipment we got going on?
Let's see what we got. All right. What's the number? 252-228-5098. Actually, while I pull up the cat calls, since it is a new interface, tell us a little bit about what you're doing on Draft Tech and who the hell you drafted. Greg came with us. He hit us with a question, the question of the week, and he better make a new question of the week since he's not here. He said, if we're at 8 and you got Trey Lance or Patrick Surtain, I believe those were the names, who do you hit up? And so answer that question for me, Cody. Between those picks, you have no other options between those two for the Carolina Panthers right now, and tell us what's going on at Draft Tech.
Yeah, so listen, my answer is pretty clear. You can go to drafttech.com and look at the player that I have selected for us, and that's Trey Lance. I wrote up an article about him. Listen, like I said, to me, these top 4 quarterbacks all have that premier arm talent, the ability to throw to any level of the football field. They're mobile. They can run RPOs. They're able to read the defense. Lance is one of those kinds of players. And I don't judge the helmet. I judge the plays that I see him making. A tight window is a tight window. Stepping up into the pocket, that's stepping up into a pocket. Being able to evade pressure, I want to be able to see a quarterback do things that I know will be required of him on Sundays. And Trey Lance does all of those things. He had one good season. So it's only really been 1 year that we've seen Trey Lance perform at the highest level. But he has been training essentially this entire college football season to train and prepare for the draft. He had one off game because North Dakota State canceled their season. So they essentially only played one exhibition matchup. And you don't prepare to play a one-game football season. So even though he performed kind of average in that matchup, I don't put too much stock into that. Trey Lance is a baller, man. A+ arm, 6'4", 225 pound plus. He can do it all. And Patrick Surtain, there are all these incredible players on defense that are ripe for the picking for the Panthers that we would love to have, and they would be a great benefit to our defense. I mean, we don't have a shutdown corner. That's obvious to everyone. We don't have a serviceable inside linebacker. That's blatant for everyone to see also. But,
We don't have a serviceable left tackle or until we sign Taylor Moton, a right tackle.
I think Taylor Moton's going to be tagged, personally.
I agree. I almost think tag and trade. I tell you this, is nobody feel like this is what I think is tag Moton, make him part of the trade for Deshaun Watson. They have a shit offensive line over there. They go ahead and sign him to whatever deal that Watson cleans up on their books. I don't know what their financial situation is, but taking $40 million off the book for Watson doesn't necessarily hurt it, right? Is that I know a lot of people have talked about Christian McCaffrey being a part of the trade. Tag and trade Moton. I don't know if the Houston Texans are going to do it. It would probably take both. But that's what I would kind of, I don't know. I mean, good Lord. There's a lot for the Panthers to go through, and Surtain could help us a ton. Trey Lance could help us a ton. Who's more viable to be there, Cody, though, at 8?
It's honestly, so tough, man. I mean,
I almost feel like when we look at these initial numbers, none of these guys are going to be there. Trey Lance.
I don't know. My initial instinct says, that Trey Lance. My biggest thing is this: the Detroit Lions. I was hearing a ton that they felt like they were going to be moving on from Matthew Stafford. Like they might look to trade him or just move on and do a full-on rebuild. And they're picking at 7. So, now that we know the Bengals aren't taking a quarterback, we know Philly isn't taking a quarterback, it's just those top few teams where it kind of gets dicey. But if it is possible, certainly, that he does fall to us at number 8. And if he does, I think he's more valuable than Patrick Surtain just because that's the value of a quarterback. I mean, if you have a potential franchise starter, I mean, listen, say we drafted Surtain and our defense took a step like, okay, maybe we're a 6-10 football team next year. Ooh, upgrade.
It would be an upgrade, but you'll be playing the long game.
Very long.
Is that like, yes, you did take a step up or two a game next year, but you're still searching for the Deshaun Watson trade. You're still searching for the Trey Lance that maybe pans out. So I do understand your kind of hesitancy or need to secure that fulfillment or whatever the feeling is. But what if we were to get Surtain, though? And yes, it's incremental adjustment going forward. But then you try to land and secure whatever the next Fields is, whoever the next Trevor Lawrence is. You know what I mean? There's going to be another one. So I understand the need, and I do support that. Like, I just don't see I see as any name other than Trey Lance. I'm on the Deshaun Watson train, man. Like, I just want the thing that's going to get me the deal. Like, she don't got to be a virgin.
Bro, that
might be the worst way of putting it.
No, you don't want that. You don't want a virgin. A virgin doesn't know what they're doing. You want a skilled. Yeah. You want that.
Like Virgin Airlines is what I was talking about. I was trying to go on the airline.
Bro, you want that skilled assassin. That's what you want. Right? You want someone that knows how to use the damn thing. Let's just
use the damn thing.
The damn thing. All right. 252-228-5098. I didn't get to chop up the cool music night. So new software will get it hopefully cooler and fresher as we go along. Let's go to the cat calls. I think this is Chuck from Elizabeth City.
Ooh.
Hey guys, this is Chuck from Elizabeth City calling. Normally I'm a guy, I'm a company guy, and I toe the line. Put it this way: when Richardson lost the ownership, I've got an argument with some friends. I haven't agreed with everything Jerry Richardson has done when he was the owner of the Panthers, and I know a lot of people have bashed him. But I, for one, was very thankful for the man because he ended up bringing our team. He gave us his wonderful colors, wonderful name, the idea of being called Carolina. It was his and his son's dream. Without him, we don't have this team to root for. So regardless of whatever he might have done, I've always put him in high standards, regardless of what he's done wrong, because without him, we don't have this team. Now, in saying that, I'm glad Tupper's here, at least now. I think we've got an owner. I mean, he's bought a lot so far with the money, and he's not afraid to make moves in the practice facility. So
I feel like he's embarrassed
but
to say that.
and I've always
there's
been a
a
rule
Yankee
guy. As
that
far
owns
as I've
the
always
team.
been a fan who supported our players and our coaches. Never been a Rivera fan. It took me long to get over him, as you can tell by previous calls. But one thing I want to bring up that I call and Matt rule out on is this stuff with Dwayne Haskins. The reason why, just 3 months ago in October, we ended up cutting a practice squad player, defensive back, Josh Hawkins, because he wasn't wearing a mask in a crowded place. We got rid of him for that reason, could have violated everything. But what do? We turn around, bring Dwayne Haskins in 3 months later, just a week ago or so. Kick the tires. I understand doing that. As terrible as he's been, why not take a gamble to see what he's got? But he's in the same situation in D.C. where he was in a strip club without a mask. Got him in a lot of trouble. His play kind of got him fired from the Redskins, more or less cut. But we're going to bring him in. So it's kind of a hypocritical situation where Rule gets rid of a guy for something almost the same thing that Dwayne Haskins did. And I understand it's a different player from being a practice squad player to a guy a couple of years ago who was a first-round pick. Sometimes coach speak has to be what it is, just that, coach speak, and we don't really get the real answer to what the issue may be sometimes or what we're trying to do. I just kind of had that on my mind, what you guys think about that. Thank you.
All right, there's Chuck from Elizabeth City, and brought up a lot of good points, but I tell you this is when it comes to Richardson, it just felt something was weird. Right. He ended up being a weird dude. He's just like a weird old Southern dude. So then we move on to new ownership, new changes. And I think that then the conversation shifted a lot to Josh Hopkins. It's funny. Hopkins and Dwayne Haskins. And by the way, CK, see you later, homie. It's just us two.
He probably just fell out and he'll come back.
All right. So anyway, you're looking at the discussion. All right. So interesting. Look, this is a very interesting point. Had not thought about the idea of Haskins being cut from the Washington.
You have to let CK back in.
Oh, okay. I'll let him back in. If you're lucky, homie.
Here I am.
I'll let you back in if you're lucky. But I had not thought about Haskins being cut. And who was the other guy? Hawkins. So now this is going to become a name bender as we try to do it. As both being cut for COVID maskers. I think this is that Haskins obviously was not cut for not wearing his mask, because I think he even did even play a game after that.
Yeah, he played the game after. It was the week after
for his non-masking and his strip clubbing. It was cut
accumulation.
He was straight sorry, and so was Hawkins. Hawkins was, and you know what? That's wrong to say to this Hawkins guy or whatever. He might not be sorry. But you're a negligent asset at that point. right? You're a more you heard like that was and I think that's a good point by Chuck. Is like ultimately that shit's for show. Right?
Yeah.
If it was Brian Burns walking out of the club, they're not cutting Brian Burns.
Yeah, it's a way to be tough and prove a point.
He was on the
listen,
anyway.
Yeah, I agree with the non-double standards. Now we didn't sign Haskins, thank God. But listen, if we would have signed Dwayne Haskins as some kind of restoration project while getting rid of someone else for doing the same bullshit, then that's messed up. Hey, real quick, 92 people watching, 57 thumbs up. Hit that like button, baby. This is what we do. We talk Panther football. We answer your cat calls.
It's technically 97 if you count Facebook. So,
CK told me this beautiful picture, and all of our, I guess, dimples and all of our pixels would make us get more likes. So, homies, come on, folks. You said that y'all look like trash, and I look great. That's what you told me.
Yeah. Cody, by the way, you can do your green screen with this, I think.
Yeah, but you have to have an actual.
Is it a real green screen you have to have?
Yeah. With Google, it let you put it in without.
Yes, it was artificial.
Yeah.
And did you change your resolution, Cody?
Yeah, what?
Did you change your camera resolution?
On this one?
Yeah, it's 480 standard is what it is. You have to change it if you want it to be higher.
Probably not. Let me check it out.
All right.
You'd have to go to your cam and then advance settings.
Or beautiful. Anyway. All right, I was going to tell you this too, CK, is that here is more evidence into my computer problems.
Is that a little better?
Yeah, it looks a little better.
Oh, it is a little better.
A little more smooth, a little more buttery.
Oh, way more handsome, baby. Yeah. All right.
You ain't doing anything. Y'all are the same. Y'all are the same beautiful people to me.
Nice.
CK, here's actually a computer question for you at this point. Is ultimately, so I tried to do the native green screen through StreamYard, and it said no, like your joint don't work, and it said go to the browser, and I did all this. I followed the steps. I went to the browser. It said put on the acceleration and this and that, and it was saying that if that doesn't work, it's your GPU, right? Which is your graphics card, right?
Yeah.
So basically, I think my graphics card is just jacked, bro.
Yeah. Might be time, man. Might be time. We're doing tech support now.
I got you. And Tizzy, one of my favorite homies in the world. All right, the number's 252-228-5098. Let's see what you guys got to say about the Carolina Panthers.
Hey, Tony. Hey, guys. It's Chuck calling. I've been noticing a lot of people go online or just talking to friends in general, they're Panther fans, and people want to jump the gun. Let's go get Deshaun Watson. If we don't trade up, how dare we? We're so screwed. Atlanta's going to get a quarterback, and we're going to get screwed. We're going to have to settle. I know everybody looks at every draft, and I know Cody's the same way. It's like Christmas. Who are we going to get? And sometimes we get a guy we're excited about, and sometimes we traded down or we didn't trade up and get a certain player we want, and they're gone. I really.
Uh-oh.
Got cut off.
Tony's frozen.
I want to try to get people to understand and think for a minute that in this league, you don't stay on top forever unless you've been New England. But sometimes we're so ready to push the button because it's a win now mentality. It's a microwavable society. We want things now. Let me give you a good example. Let's go back to 2012, Cam's second year, coming off a 6-10 campaign his rookie year after we had a terrible season the year before when we got him number one. Luke Kuechly's a rookie. We didn't expect him to start. It was Beason's middle linebacker job. Beason gets hurt. Kuechly takes over. We go into a late season game against Kansas City at Arrowhead. Kansas City has won one game to that point. They beat the Saints early in the season. We go into that game and we lose that game. Kansas City ends up with 2 wins that year. We finished 7-9, but we could have had so many games that year we could have had a winning record. Now I bring that up to you, not to look too far ahead, but the next year we go 12-4. Then we had the season where we won the division, but we had a losing record. Then we go 15-1. We have a losing record. Then we go to the wild card. We lost to New Orleans 11-5. So after the year I'm talking about, 4 out of 5 years we've made the playoffs. 3 out of 5 were winning records. So probably our best stretch ever. But in that year, Cam's second year, Luke's rookie year, when we lost to Kansas City, I remember being dejected. How did we lose to Kansas City in 2012? People kind of forget the fact
we were
that
sorry in
Kansas City had a
2012,
guy
bro.
on the 53-man roster, a linebacker. His girlfriend, or something happened. It was domestic. Killed his girlfriend at home. Goes to the Chiefs complex, the Arrowhead Stadium, and I believe he killed himself in the parking lot. And the Kansas City was devastated, and they played the game that Sunday. And on raw emotion, dedicating that game, we lost to a team who just lost a player who really wasn't a key starter, Jerome Belcher. I bring it up because we were so close.
All right, well, I guess we got to listen to the next phase of this because I am on pins and needles, to be honest.
Okay, second part of that call. This is Chuck from Elizabeth City, but I bring up the simple fact that the Chiefs that year finished 2-14. You know, they had this linebacker kill himself in the parking lot, and we lose a game that we should have won. Steve Smith caught a pass at the end of the game, like on the 10-yard line, I believe, and time ran out, and we lost to a Rick Meyer-led Chiefs team, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was the quarterback. But anyway, that's 2012. The Chiefs were 2-14. 7 years later, they win the Super Bowl. Now, mind you, they get Andy Reid as a coach.
Yep.
But hey, Andy Reid never won a Super Bowl until he got to Kansas City. Philly, he come close, but he choked a lot in the playoffs. And they got Patrick Mahomes. I believe it was like the 12th pick in the draft. And that might have been the year we got McCaffrey. It might have been the year before. I'm trying to go back and remember, but we didn't need a quarterback. We didn't think because we had Cam. But I bring it up because you never know what quarterback is going to be there when we're drafting at 8 or 12 or 15. You never know how good a guy is going to be. Everybody knew Mahomes was going to be Mahomes. They would have picked him number 1. So you go from 2012 winning 2 games, a player kills himself.
All right, I'm going to stop the call here. Thanks, Chuck from Elizabeth City. You're the man. You're a mad friend of the show. But and look, it's not even a but. Like what he's saying is true. Like all those things happened, and all this is true. But we could have. There are people who ultimately said Deshaun Watson was going to be great, that Patrick Mahomes was going to be great. In fact, Sean Payton was one of those people when it came to Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid may have been one of those people. And I don't agree with any. It's not I don't agree with any. That's messed up. It's the wrong way of saying that. But Andy Reid was great. They had all this and that, all those things he said. But he didn't get it done until he had Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't that say to everyone the importance of a quarterback? I mean, even with Alex Smith, that like people make the comparison that Alex Smith had all that talent and he was putting up good numbers and they went to the playoffs. And yeah, that's all true. But they didn't advance very far in the playoffs, did they? No, you get the quarterback, it changes everything for you. That's why I'm very bullish on this. We need to do whatever we need to do to either get Deshaun. And dude, I can't tell you how happy I would be if we landed Deshaun Watson. We either need to
the idea of having Deshaun so much more. Like if you gave me my whatever, I don't care what the money is. Like just excuse the money. Is the only person is Trevor Lawrence is because you have told me that he's going to be the next whatever, right? Like I mean, so excluding his name. I would take Deshaun Watson all day. It's kind of like getting Cam back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like Deshaun Watson's even kind of better, honestly. I won't say better than Cam because I don't like to say that about anybody. But Deshaun Watson is legit, bro. 30-5, this and that. Like, let's go, homie. And he's young. Come on. And I'm tired of this podcast where we don't know the quarterback. Isn't it going to be a predictable show every week? Aren't these going to be predictable calls every week until we think we have the answer? The number's 252-228-5098. CK, there's nothing more predictable than a team without a quarterback, right?
Agreed. Yeah, there is not much more. I mean, we've been in quarterback purgatory too many times in this organization, to not want to have a quarterback that we can rely on. Like even when you have a quarterback, there's so many different things you have to worry about within the organization to make sure you're a successful, franchise. I mean, it took us 3 years of Cam being incredible for the first 3 years with the little things here and there that could be tweaked or polished on, but for the most part, we were insignificant for his first 3 years in the league. It took
quarterback is the story, regardless.
Yeah,
but that's really what it is. Is Cam was the story the entire time.
Exactly, but we were excited every single year because he was on the team. We were excited,
and then there was a group of people that were critical of him and this and that. The only thing that we were ever concerned about was his health. Ever. Like at the same time, but even then, he was the centrifuge. The quarterback is the centrifuge of conversation.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, man. We're not. Listen, this team, our podcast, anything, the media market, the Charlotte sports media market, nothing about this team is fun or interesting until we fix the quarterback position.
That's every team, though. That's every team. And actually, I wanted to ask you about one of those guys, Josh Allen. Your boy.
That's my man.
Gay man. You're gay for Josh Allen like I'm gay for Cam Newton. Tell me what happened this week. Bro, lighten it up. Getting it done, right?
Lighten it up. I mean, dude, I'm telling you. By the way, I picked all those games correctly. I picked I think we all did, right? No, Tony, you picked the Ravens. Tony, you picked the Ravens.
I was all on the Ravens. D. I was all on the Lamar D. I was wrong.
Yeah, and I picked Tampa Bay. I went all four, man.
Yeah, Tony, I think you lost the Rams too. I thought you thought the Rams were going to beat the Packers.
No, that was not me.
Was that Greg?
That was Greg.
Somebody said that they thought the Rams were going to beat the Packers.
Not me.
But by the way,
I was on the Ravens joint though. I was on the Ravens joint. I thought they were the juggernaut coming in, running, and getting the.
They made Lamar just not exist.
Yeah, and so by the way, a lot of people early on in Josh Allen's career, they wanted to compare him to Cam Newton.
Yeah,
and the diehard Panther fans like us were like, no, he'll never be on the level of Cam. Now, I never said this because I liked the comparison. In fact, the narrative around both of them was the same. Incredible talent, but sometimes all that talent would lead to these wild inaccuracies that came out of nowhere. But the only difference is the Buffalo Bills have taken the generational talent that they have at the quarterback position, and they are doing every single thing that the Panthers failed to do for Cam Newton. So one, he has a legitimate offensive line that gives him damn good protection. Number two, they went out and got him one of, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. Like, if he's not number one, he's in the discussion for top three at least.
Right.
Who really cares? Diggs.
That's what we're saying. And I'm going to take a lot of credit for this. I don't hang my hat on a lot. I don't feel like I do. Maybe you guys can go check the tape and see if I do. But I truly believe that McDermott and Bean learned something from the 2015 Panthers with what you're talking about. They went and made an aggressive move for a offensive talent on an offense that was already good. Think about it. Beasley blew it up for my fantasy team all season. I won my fantasy team. Part of it was this. Beasley was the man all season long, dude. Mug put up numbers. They had dudes. They were the 2015 Panthers, but they did not have the dude. And they went out and got Stephon Diggs. And you know what he did? And no matter what I say about him, this and that, we argue over if he's the best, a half inch better than the best, this and that. That mug balled out this past weekend. Like he straight took it 40 for a touchdown or whatever it was. Cody, they went and did something aggressive in a moment where they had an opportunity. And I wonder what the Carolina Panthers would have been if they maybe have done that in 2015.
Man, a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Right.
A lot of ifs. I know it's so
little.
painful.
Am I kind of right?
No, you are right. And listen, like I do think, Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, they were on a team in the Carolina Panthers that were built very similarly, and it's not an accident that they have a ton of Carolina Panthers up there. Josh Norman, Mario Addison. He is not playing this year, but Starla Tulele is up there. Yeah, man, that's they did and are doing everything correctly that the Panthers didn't do for Cam. I mean, even if you look at their defense, they got Tremaine Edmonds at inside linebacker, fast. They have Ed Oliver, who's kind of like their own version of K1 Short. They have Tre'Davious White, who's shutting people down. Also, I really do like that Bills team.
Defense has not been tremendous though.
Who?
Their defense hasn't been tremendous.
Hey, and this is actually
not been. I'm not saying they're bad, but they have not been like, oh my god, like we don't want to play the Bills defense.
So that's a good question, and I wanted to bring something up to you. I wanted to ask you this: out of all the 4 teams left, what team has the best defense? Because I kind of feel like now
who's left? The Bucks, the Bills,
Tampa Bay, Green Bay, the Bills, and the Chiefs.
I always think the Chiefs have the best defense.
I would say the Packers have the best.
I think the Bills by a pretty large margin, I feel like, have the better defense.
But
the Bills. Right?
Kind of my point is that the adage.
That's for Josh. I just dropped that.
The adage that defense wins championships. Well, I feel like we're in the adage of that. The paradigm is flipping.
No, man. Look at Seattle, bro. Seattle, but that their defense just was kind of all right. No, the Chiefs have a good defense. The Bills have a good. You don't have to have the lockdown defense, bro, anymore. But you can't have not a defense.
Right, but none of these defenses are like
the teams that lost showed us that.
I mean, none of these. My point is that none of these defenses that are still playing right now are like terrifying or on the level of like even San Francisco last year. Like none of these teams I feel have like a really vaunted pass rush. I feel like a few of the teams you can run the football on them. Like, look.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because the teams that could have terrifying defenses, guess what they lack on the other side?
A franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, think of the Rams. Think of the Bears right now. Like, I mean, it's impossible to be. I mean, I know that people are going to be like, oh, a great defense could clamp you down and we could have 10 points a game. It's unfair to ask a defense to do that when your offense isn't competent.
Yeah.
At all. You know what I mean? Like, even if they're the greatest defense. So I think if you all of a sudden Chicago could be this like lockdown bitch, but they can't because their offense sucks at you know what.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you explain?
No, I
Apparently
can't.
not.
Do they?
All right,
Does it suck?
The number 252-228-5098. Let's go back to Chuck in Elizabeth City.
Okay, second part of that call. This is Chuck from Elizabeth City, but I bring up the simple fact that
Have we heard
the
this one
Chiefs
already?
that year
Yeah.
was 2-14.
All right.
You know, they had
Next
this
call.
linebacker.
What it do, boys?
Yeah,
It's
what's
your
up?
boy, Mike,
Supreme League.
a.k.a. Supreme Liters.
What up, bro?
Hope you guys are having a hell of a week. As for the rest of the Panther Nation, hope it's gonna go great. So I just joined Twitter after forever. You know, I wasn't really big into the tweet thing, but
Well, y'all cover
I
me
guess
why
I'm
you
on it
tell us
now.
why you don't
Thanks
like
for the
my
follow,
favorite social
Cody.
media thing.
I followed everyone else, so
Yeah, I followed you, bro. I remember
the
following
tweet
you.
life. Cheers. Okay. The state of the NFC right now. I think it's looking good, especially if you look in our division and the fact that 8-8 sorry ass Bears team made the playoffs. It's not out of reach next year. Drew Brees, gone. Tom Brady, he's on his last leg, and we don't know what's going to happen with Matt Ryan. So, it's cool because now our team can hopefully finally step in there and back into the first place spot sometime soon. Congratulations to the Pampered Bay Buccaneers for you know what? I'm not even gonna talk about them. God, fuck Tom Brady with his pretty ass. Pretty. And he's pretty fucking pretty. 43 years old, not a single goddamn gray hair. I found a gray hair in my nether region recently. So, I'm a little upset. Anyways,
Deservedly so.
I already talked about Scott Fitterer, I'm sure. I think it's cool that he used to be a quarterback in his playing days. So here's hoping he takes one, or at least trades up to take one. That'd be even better. I'll leave out on that's all I got to talk about. I'll leave out on Brady and Breeze post game. That was cool as hell, man. Him throwing the touchdown pass to Breeze, son. Even though we all say these things about these players, we're all brothers and sisters. So love each other, guys.
That's right.
Hate each other. Panther
That's
Price
right.
crowd.
Spread that love, Supreme.
Oh yeah, just as long as it's not diseased.
I mean, did you remember, in the year that the Panthers went to the Super Bowl when it was Peyton Manning's last year?
Yeah.
I remember he had that moment where he kind of went up to Bill Belichick and said, "Hey, this is probably my last rodeo, so
Let me win."
essentially, it's been real. Thanks for doing this and being a part of this with me these past few years." And you can kind of see the same thing happen with Drew Brees and Tom Brady. It's like, yeah, these two old veterans that have been competing for years, and they're Drew Brees is meeting his end in the playoffs. So
You know who's going to get Deshaun Watson? The Saints.
No, they're in cap hell, bro. They can't.
They have like negative $99 million.
They gotta cut some people. In
They're
order to even be able to draft at this point, they need to cut some people.
All right, let's go to the next call.
Hey, y'all. My Panther brothers.
What up, G?
Hey, man. We got a new GM, man. Fitterer, man. I think that you pronounce his name Fitterer or whatever. I looked at his track record. This dude looks all right, man. He looks okay. And this dude scores a lot in late round picks, which could be a good thing. But it also could be a bad thing because I really don't know his first round talent. I don't know, but I know he has something to do with the Legion of Boom. I know he's working for Seattle and everything like that. He has something to do with that defense. And speaking of Seattle, man, hey, man, don't kill me what I'm about to say, or not say, but ask you guys a question. How do you guys feel if we reached out to Earl Thomas, man, and Richard Sherman? I don't know if we can afford Richard Sherman because I think his cap hit will be a lot. I think because if I'm not wrong, I think that's the reason why the 49ers might ship him off or whatever because he's asking for so much or whatever. But would it be something if we can get Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas? Oh my God, man, that'll be good, man. You know, and what we gonna do in this draft? I don't know. Like I told you, a pipe dream. I still watch Deshaun Watson. I seriously doubt it's gonna happen, but I would love that shit to happen. And you guys looked on the internet, they saying we got to give up CMC, which I do not. I'll be the first Panther fan to say this shit. I do not want to give up CMC.
I'd do it for Watson.
His contract will be off our damn hands if we, send him to the Texans or whatever. But still, CMC is a Panther, man. You know what I'm saying? So give me your thoughts on this new GM, and do you think he can turn around?
I tell you guys this.
Do you
Thanks,
really think so? And before I go, man, I see Hurney is getting ready to be the GM for the damn Redskins. I did. Keep pounding.
Thank you, G. Look, first of all, he brought us into our new conversation. A couple of things. What do we touch on first? I CMC is part of the trade.
Yeah, I don't think it would be part of the trade, honestly.
I don't think it would have to be, right? And I don't even think is that maybe if Bill O'Brien was still there, he would be, because Bill O'Brien was, I feel like, always desperately searching for a
running back,
make a difference. Even whatever it was. I kind of like this idea: is give up whatever you got to do. You get Watson, and then you get Etienne in like the second or something.
Yeah, but trade
right where you want to be at.
Yeah, because you can draft another running back because they're replaceable.
Nah, McCaffrey is special. I get that. The other question though was about back to Fitterer and the.
Well, he also wanted to know about Earl Thomas and Richard Sherman.
Yes. Yeah.
Nah, man, come on. Nah, this squad's about getting young, bro.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think we've
Matt Rule's about getting young, man.
Yeah, well, that, and I don't think that he fits. I don't think those guys fit the narrative of what Matt Rule wants as far as players are concerned. I think
having an orgy with your brother doesn't fit what Matt Rule's looking for.
I would say that, yeah, certainly.
Isn't his dad a preacher? Would he be like, "Well, it's all right, you repent by licking ass"?
Dude, do you know that story? His wife ran in on him and his brother in a full-blown orgy.
No, it wasn't his wife. At first, I think it was his girlfriend, his fiance.
Whatever.
But no, it's even better than that, Cody. It's better than that, homie. She saw them post something. She saw her brother, his brother post something. And it had a certain light, like it was like a purple light or something. And she drove up and down the block until she found
that purple light.
Matched the light, yes, like it was. And then she bust up in there and was like, and then there was a gun, and she chased him around. He was like naked around the car or something like that. It was that you don't want to mess with her.
No, man, but apparently, they arrested her too because she had a gun she was waving a gun around, had a bullet in the chamber, and she didn't even know it. Bro,
she didn't know she knew it. And what would you do? I would have a bullet in the chamber too. Like imagine if I had to drive up and down the light. Look, see, he got the purple light in his background for the light. Well, look. for CK's house. That's what it is. We're driving up and down the block right now. If my wife is in that house, bro, I'm coming up. There's a bullet in the chamber.
And I turned it off.
Look, my man. He knew it.
Too late, bro. You've been found out. Dude.
All right.
But
So,
yeah,
still, like, I think this squad's about getting young, homie. Like, young and fast. Like, we don't want to know that. Like, we don't want to know Josh Norman right now. We want Josh Norman when he was 24, not when he's 31.
And that's what I was saying. Like, us reusing, players hasn't worked out recently, right? It just hasn't. I mean, it's not been horrible, but it hasn't been the answer. So I think that putting, like I said, I don't think those guys fit the narrative of what, Matt Rule is trying to build, not just for what's going on off the field, but the personalities that they're alphas. And I don't think right now Matt Rule wants somebody who doesn't feel like he can coach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next call. The number's 252-228. And while we're listening to that call, check out this. Think about Russell Douglas also hitting free agency. What do you guys think?
He'll be a cheap.
Kind of a slow week, but we got the new GM. But I was looking forward to next year. I was looking at the schedule. I happen to notice we play New England at home. And if the Patriots re-sign Cam, then Cam's going to be playing in Charlotte. That's a game I'm thinking about going to next year if everything works out right, of course. But I wonder what games y'all kind of looking forward to next year. And also, I pray to God we get Deshaun. I pray to God.
Everybody.
You're not the only one, bud.
It's fun to me because I'm a Gamecock fan wanting the Clemson quarterback. But let's be clear. If it means Deshaun coming to Carolina, I will suck Deshaun Watson's dick wearing a Clemson jersey.
Ooh, beep, hit him with the
Yeah.
Come on, DK. What was the boo, 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 boo?
Hey, was that Kevin? Replay the first. I didn't hear the name of it.
You want to hear the? I'll suck
it's
it.
in the chat. Yeah, look, Kevin's that's like my only Gamecock fan. He goes hard for the game. Oh yeah, that was him. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to hear you say that, man. I have that on record now. So if I ever need to use that against you at some other time, I'm just saying I might have to do it, bro. But no, you're right, dude. I would do unspeakable things right alongside with you for Deshaun Watson, dude. Dude, my body could be whatever they wanted to, dude. I would just sacrifice my body up to the altar.
And these mugs used to make fun of me, saying, "Now, look, I still say it. I'm gay for Cam." And then y'all bitches out there just being prostitutes for a dude you ain't even had tasted. Like he ain't ever thrown no touchdown for you. He ain't ever done no Superman for you. And y'all are already on your knees.
But you know what this is like for me? This is like that passionate flame that I had in high school. But then after college, we moved on, did different things. But then she reemerges in your life. Oh, hey, I'm in town. You want to meet coffee?
You got money now.
Yeah, man.
Take herself, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
you gotta carry you. You don't gotta carry her.
She's her own woman.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about. That's what I would rather, to be honest. And I know, like, you've been up here just Trevor Lawrence, this and that, all these guys, Trey Lance. Then you know what I'm saying? I actually am more attracted to the woman who's already got some.
Hey, do me a favor. That last comment from Joey the Blind Panther, throw that up there. Put that on the screen. Leave that up there for a little while.
The crippled joint.
Yeah, leave that one up there. Yeah, that's what it really is. You already know.
That's right. I mean, I'm telling you.
Down where it matters, baby. Let's go.
All right, the number is 252-228-5098. Y'all homies, smash the thumbs up button on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Hopefully it's all working. Who knows?
Hey, my 2 legs don't work, but my 3rd leg, maybe it works just fine. Come on,
Like
now.
Greg.
Come on
Greg.
now.
Put it in your ear.
Yeah.
All right, next line. Next call.
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston. Kind of a slow week, but we got
Did we hear this one?
I was looking forward to next year.
Yeah.
We got the schedule.
All right, next call.
What's going on, C3 Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson hitting y'all up. Man, I'm into this Deshaun Watson. If traded for Deshaun Watson, they got to have do the Panthers have big balls to do that? Because not only do you can't just trade for him, but you got to really go all in with the team, for this year and next year, especially for next year, and for so on. I mean, you gotta really have a team around Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
we already got 2 wide receivers. I'm not counting Curtis Samuel because who knows? I think with Deshaun's salary, we probably won't be able to keep Curtis Samuel, but we could probably still keep Taylor Moak. So I saw somebody posted, trade CMC 2 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. Hey man, put Teddy Bridgewater in that mess too, man. Get him out of here too. Get him out of here too, man. We go all in. I mean, they're gonna put a lot of pressure on the front office, to really be scouting for talent. Drafting and free agency. They really gonna have to put in some overtime work. That's the pressure. That's kind of like that's the big boy pressure that big boy teams want. That they want somebody like Deshaun Watson. They're gonna put a team around him on all in, not just for next season, not just for this season coming, but next season and so on. Because this Deshaun Watson is as big as you can get, other than Patrick Mahomes, who is not free. But Deshaun Watson is basically next to Patrick Mahomes. I mean, a young, talented quarterback. You're talking about putting butts in the seat. Well, we can't be in stadium, but I think all the Panther fans would like that. Of course you're gonna have some
we
who
would
don't want to
like
get
that.
rid of draft picks, but
who would dislike that?
It's whatever. Anyway, other than that, man, the NFC Championship, is coming up, and I know we went to 2 of them, and I want to know what y'all remember about both of those championships. The one where we beat Philadelphia and the one we beat the Cardinals. Like, what was your memory of those 2?
First of all, thank you, my man, for asking me that question at the end. I can answer that all day long. Number 1, I was at the 2015 NFC Championship. I was there, and we beat that ass. We beat that Cardinal ass, bro. Like, and that whole stadium was flexing. I'm telling you, we're standing in the stadium and you could feel the concrete bending. It was wonderful and a little nerve-wracking. And when it comes to that old 04-05 championship against the Eagles, man, I remember that Deshaun. No, hold on. It was Deshaun Foster. That's what it was. Deshaun Foster. This mug broke 6 tackles. It was like a 40-yard run from the 1-yard line. It was wonderful. I said we move heaven and earth to get Deshaun Watson. That's how I feel. Any more thoughts on that call before we move on?
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Let's push through.
Hey, fellas, it's Jason calling from Colorado. First off, I'd like to apologize for my fiery rhetoric last week. I normally keep it pretty clean, but when people start talking about Christian McCaffrey, I get fired up, man. He's my boy.
He's going to be Houston,
but,
Texas.
I really enjoyed last week's episode. It really did seem like Adam Peters was going to be the guy, and I really enjoyed the deep dive. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm sure it's going to be all about Scott Fitterer. But a few things that I have seen about him. seem encouraging. I mean, the Seahawks have consistently drafted in a lower position than us, but it feels like they draft better players. And so I'd be interested to see how Fitterer approaches things. I've seen a couple trade scenarios about us dropping back in the draft, not going for a quarterback. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I feel like if we have the opportunity to get one, we should, but I mean, you never know what's going to happen. You know, I had a lot of people talking about the Deshaun Watson trade, you know, that he's obviously not going to be playing in Houston next season, but I know we're out of the running for Deshaun Watson. That doesn't, I'm not even entertaining that idea, but
front running
sounds like
Don't
Miami
be
might be
negative
the
Nelly.
preferred destination for him. And which begs to differ. You know, that raises the question: what are they going to do with Tua? Now, I don't think, you know, if Dwayne Haskins is worth kicking the tires on, I think Tua is absolutely worth kicking the tires on. And anyway, I'd like to hear what some of your thoughts are about these things. I love what you're doing with the podcast. Keep pounding, my guy.
Cody, you've been last year we came out here and you said that your number 1 and 2 quarterbacks, and I'm not gonna I don't remember who they were in order, but it was Tua and Herbert, like vice versa, A and B, B and A. Who cares? Not asking that. Tua, though, former top elite talent. Now, a year in, this weird hip injury that was hit at the end of his career in college. And you hear the reports of his defense saying, pick this mug off whenever I want. I mean, that's what they said. They were like this. It was like, I ain't scared of this bitch. I'm going to jump his routes. He ain't got no arm strength.
Pretty much, man.
What they said is that's what I'm worried about here is that leaked to the media. That's not just us looking at a couple of games and going, my man can't throw the ball. It's become a narrative now.
It is a narrative, and it's something that a lot of people did worry about with Tua coming out of the draft. It's a lot similar to Matt Jones this year. I mean, Matt Jones had a ton of wide open receivers.
It's not nothing like Matt Jones, bro. It's everybody's already saying he's a bum from the beginning.
I mean,
tell me how Tua is the next fucking.
Well, you were the one that wanted Tua over everybody, and I was like,
Tua because y'all convinced me that he had this winning talent. I thought of him as the next. Who's the guy in Seattle? Russell Wilson. I thought he was gonna be the next Russell Wilson.
I said from the get go.
Already gonna quit on him. Like he can't even be Russell Wilson.
I mean, hey, look, I don't believe you should judge a quarterback after 1 year of play. I mean, I think he deserves a chance. You know, a lot of guys take longer than others. But what I've said before on this, but listen, what I've said before on this podcast is that these quarterbacks are coming out of the draft much more prepared for the NFL than they ever have been before. I mean, they've been in quarterback camps since the time there were 13 Elite 11 competitions, going through advanced route concepts and defensive coverages. Like, these quarterbacks are more prepared than they ever have been. So with that said, it's a lot easier for a team who has picked a quarterback. Maybe they're not impressed with what he's done in the season. You have an opportunity to replace him right now for cheap. And then you could either trade one or the other. You know, you have options. So the notion of being tethered to a quarterback for a long time, I mean, that's out the window. The Jets are probably going to move on from Sam Darnold. And we all saw what happened to Josh Rosen. Yeah. So it's easier now than it's ever been. I hope they give him a chance, but I kind of don't think.
Can they afford to do that again, though? Like, you got to think about it. They traded one of their picks. Well, yes, Josh Rosen wasn't that expensive, but they did trade for Josh Rosen. That was a failed experiment. Then they decide to use a very valuable pick on Tua. And if that's just the experiment, they're going to give these guys literally one chance. Who's going to want to come to Miami to begin with? I mean, I know Deshaun Watson said, there's rumors that he wants to go there, but like as an organization, there's a moment in time where you realize, like, I'm firing my coach after 2 years. I'm letting go of quarterbacks without ever even trying to coach them up to be better. And when at one point we thought they had the skill to be our franchise, you know, I mean, it doesn't. I would stick to the belief that they're going to stick with Tua. I mean, it's just a lot of. I mean, you got to think about the expense that would come along with it. Wouldn't just be trading away their third pick or whatever pick they are in the draft.
Why do you think that though? When they didn't even do it for a game.
What do you mean?
You know what I'm saying? Like Tua, first of all right, so the Dolphins were like 11-5 this season.
Yeah.
Right? Like they were awesome. They started out with a winning record. They were like 5-2 or something weird. You know what I'm saying? And then Fitzpatrick got benched. Tua comes in and their defense just beat ass, bro. Like it just beat ass. Like they were getting special teams, turnovers, they were getting defense. And Tua was like 19 for 24, this and that for like 125 yards. I had him on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
He didn't do shit. And I don't have a problem with him not doing shit. Like it's not like I'm like, oh, he sucks. He didn't have to do crap.
Yeah.
But this team then benched him and went to Fitzpatrick again.
Twice, yeah.
Like
I think it was the second time.
They have shown that they don't give a fuck about your feelings, A. And B, that it's not like they just invested in Tua, man. Like,
at what point is that an indictment
that he's a fraud? I think that the Dolphins are done with Tua.
At what point is that an indictment on your organization, though? Like, I mean, you got to think. I mean, if this is literally 2 first-round quarterbacks in a row, I know they didn't pick the first one in the draft, but they found value enough to trade a pick for Josh Rosen, right? And they found enough value to trade Tua at a very high number in the draft last year.
Bum, though. What a bum. And this is why I don't get hype on the draft.
Yeah.
All y'all motherfuckers told me he was going to be good and he was so smart and cerebral and this and that. He's a bum.
Yeah, I mean, I said from the get-go when we were talking about getting him last year in the draft was I think that there's a lot of risk involved with him. I didn't like him for the injury history.
Yeah.
But,
tell you one thing is I would love Rosen over Haskins, though.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, my God. Haskins is a disaster, bro.
I'm a Bears fan, and I'm excited to have Deshaun Watson join our team. Hey, it's possible, man.
But by the way, the Dolphins don't care if they draft it. So they don't care what it says about them if they draft a quarterback and it ends up working out. You know, like Kyler Murray. If Kyler
have more dick than anybody right now.
Yeah, but I mean, if Kyler Murray continues to get better and better and better, then yeah, people aren't going to care about what the Cardinals
did.
Yeah, moving on. So I think it's the same situation.
And the Dolphins also have like 72 draft picks and Tua. Like, how about that? It's being like this. It's like, well, we might have a better than average Teddy Bridgewater, or we could trade. You know, like they have so much. Like, I mean, I'm telling you this: if we had Tua right now, we would probably be maybe asking the similar questions, but we wouldn't have 7 other draft picks. You know what I'm saying? It's not like these mugs can toss Tua to the wind and trade him and still not even make a dent in what their draft collateral is. But I would not want to be a Miami Dolphins fan for the last 12 years. Who was irrelevant? The number is 252-228-5098. You're not irrelevant. You can be part of the C3 Panthers podcast. Smash the thumbs up button, homie. Let's see what you guys say.
Hey, Scott here. I've called in before. So
what's up, Scott?
The Chiefs and the Bills. That's going to be the game. I believe the Bills are going to beat them. I believe they'll beat them.
Well, now
Josh
they are
Allen
because
threw,
Patrick Mahomes is.
I don't know how many times through the air, only compared to maybe 15 rushes. And as far as the Bucks all the way. And then the Packers and the Bills, hopefully in the Super Bowl. Both of them are good teams. And the Buccaneers are a good team, so is the Chiefs. But I think Mahomes got a toe injury now, is what I saw in the game. And Lamar went out. They were just getting beat, and he couldn't do anything. As far as the head coach, the GM, yeah, Peters is it, according to some of his stuff that he's done in the past. And I know you guys are live right now. However, the offensive line needs shoring up. I think we got the receivers to do the job. As far as linebackers, yeah, I don't think we should pay too much. And I think we're going to end up having to get rid of one of our wide receivers to pick up somebody a little bit better of a threat, a little bit taller. So, what are you guys' thoughts on it? And look forward to hearing it on the podcast. You guys do a fantastic job. Talk to you later.
Thank you for the call. One of the things I was thinking about in this, and this is why, look, I've resisted your sexy talk about Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? I've resisted that pillow talk that you've given me.
But have you really?
I've tried to. I've tried.
Have you really?
But then I've rolled over and I looked at my partner, Teddy Bridgewater, and she sucks. A giant Teddy Bridgewater. No, my point is this.
And now you're back to me wanting to trade all them picks.
No, is that again? I look at this. Is that I have had some hesitancy in trading all those picks for what I think is sort of an unknown commodity. The beautiful girl that we met. I don't know what the analogy is, right? I'm talking about Deshaun Watson being the beautiful woman who has a career, who has already paid everything. Like she don't come to you saying, I can be something great. She comes to you and she says, I am great. And you can ride my coattails. And I'm like, yes. That's how I feel. Like, I am more interested in trading for Deshaun Watson, all the things you said, than for something I don't know that could be. Trey Lance, maybe. Zach Wilson, possibly. Even Trevor Lawrence could be. But Deshaun Watson,
it is the truth, man.
Would be amazing.
My man Dabo Swinney referred to him as the NFL's version of Michael Jordan. So, you don't remember that? There was like a big story.
Wow.
They said if you pass up on Deshaun Watson, you're passing up on Michael Jordan. That's what he said, man. And that's what Coach said. And I'm, whatever. I'm entitled to believe that, man. Hey, Joey the Blind Panther wanted us to get his call. He's about to go to bed.
Well, we only have a couple more calls, so
okay.
Keep it wide open.
He said 5522 is the last four.
All right, he's getting close.
What's good, guys? This is Jay Gill down here in Louisiana. Probably Panthers fan in the city. I've been a Panther fan since day one. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. My first thing I want to address is it feels so good to see all the Saints fans cry down here. Y'all don't have no idea what's going on. Second of all, my feelings on the quarterback situation, I'm willing to drop the bank on Deshaun. That's a proven quarterback. I'm with you, bro. I'm willing to give what it takes to a certain extent. Me personally, I would even give up CMC in the trade to get Deshaun. But also, you're going to have other quarterbacks out here. I'm not a Dak Prescott fan, but I'm just throwing it out here. I really don't think Dak is going back to Dallas.
Too much money, though, for us.
That's kind of the mode that he expressed even before he got hurt. Thirdly, if you notice, the times that we went to the Super Bowl, we've had a badass defense that kicked ass, and we had, I'd say, an above-average offense both times. In my eyes, we've got a pretty good offense right now. I think we need to focus on the defense, which I think in a year or two will be up to par.
We need
with what we
offensive
drafted
line,
and probably what we'll
homie.
pick up in free agency. Those are just my thoughts right now. Fuck the Saints. Go Panthers. Fucking pounding.
Keep pounding, baby.
Cody, I think this is where. All right, so all the things you've talked about with trading the farm, trade the farm for whatever quarterback could be. This is the one thing I like about the Deshaun Watson thing.
Yeah.
Is that all right? So you give them the 2 first and you give them the 3rd or whatever the player is that requires you, right? But it's ultimately 2 first at the minimum. But then we could be very diligent in saying this year and next year in the 2nd and 3rd rounds, we're going to draft offensive line, homie. Like you came to a place that sucked on offensive line. We could tag Moten. Maybe we have to tag and trade. Who knows? But we could say this to him straight up. We're going to trade their first. And we're going to take offensive linemen in the 2nd every year for like the next 3 years, homie, until your contract is done. And I would be 100 fine with that.
Dude, we have to, man. I mean, the Panthers have gone too long without spending premium draft capital picks at the offensive line position, man. We really do need to build our offense. And it's time to protect our quarterback.
Would it not make it more I guess direct if we didn't have the question of the quarterback now?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like this. Is that solved? Like at that point, it's like, all right, so we don't need to figure out if it's BPA at 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever the fuck we're picking at. The one we got our quarterback, and you know what we need? The wall.
Yeah, we need the wall. We need to build a big badass wall. How about this, man? That should show you what our biggest offseason free agent priority should be. It should be Taylor Moten, because out of all those scenarios that we've mentioned in the cards for us, either trading for Deshaun Watson or trading up for a quarterback, or even rolling with Teddy from godforsaken Bridgewater for another year, Taylor Moten has to be a part of our game plan going forward. We have to draft and replace so many different positions on the offensive line that letting Taylor Moten, one of the best right tackles in the league, walk out the door right now, man, you're talking about having to rebuild your entire offensive line. It's just not sustainable. So
say I never did anything for you, Joey, the Blind Panther, because I pushed your call up the list. Here he goes.
Okay, guys, I got a few funny things to describe David Tepper for you.
All right.
And illustrate the point that we are going to get Deshaun Watson, even though I can't draw with the shit. But anyway, guys, here it goes. Hi, I'm David Tepper, and I like big nuts and I cannot lie. I should have said I got big nuts and I cannot lie. But anyway, David Tepper is like a feminist. You know how when a feminist says, if I want a man, I'm going to get a man? Well, Tepper's the same way.
I gotta pause this shit right here. This mug, and I'm gonna finish the call. But this mug said, I got big nuts and I cannot lie. And then he said, but then he's kind of like a feminist.
Well, I think we were saying this is how Tepper introduces himself.
Would it be weird if I said that Joey had never seen a feminist? No.
Deshaun Watson, he's going to get Deshaun Watson. So there's no reason we can't get Deshaun Watson. There's no reason we can't do something that's barely legal. And I'm not talking about breaking the law. I'm just talking about within grading rules and the way you're
Oh,
supposed to conduct yourselves in the
Joey,
NFL
this is
business.
so weird.
You know, I'm sure we'll do something that's barely legal. I don't give a damn. I ain't got no problem with that because all I care about is winning. All I care about is putting my ass on a seat at Bank of America Stadium and vacating it when they get a touchdown, so that I could bang it against the back. You know, I like two seats.
So he
because
can
that's the kind of
what?
Panther fan I am. I'll go
Joey's awesome.
This is why
boring
Tepper
and
had to
cuss out
sell
the
his
Falcons
team.
fan next door, and that's
Oh,
how
not
my day's gonna
Tepper,
go.
Richardson.
Anyway, guys. Wow.
I like it, man. I like that all day, dude. I tell you what. I think you shouldn't get mad at Joey the Blind Panther Esquivel for his analogies, because I think he's just trying to be more like you in the analogies that you make, which are sometimes crazy fucking outlandish, bro.
I got you.
So,
I understand.
you know,
I understand. Look, I'm not gonna get mad at anybody.
he's paying homage.
I got it. So I was watching, and just quickly diverting from this, is I was watching this because I watch shows that I steal off of Cinema Free or whatever. Because really, how many I pay for Amazon? I got Amazon Prime, I got Hulu Live, and that's how I get my TV. I got Netflix, I got Disney Plus, I got ESPN. How many streaming services can I have? That's what I'm starting to get, is that, like, you told me cord cutting was going to be cheap, and it turns out
You're paying the same amount, paying for 15 different fucking apps at $7 a pop.
right. So when we have this awesome app that steals everything off the internet called Cinema HD or HD Cinema, whatever the fuck it is. So I've been watching this show, C. It's crazy, dude. It's an Apple original, and everybody is blind but like 3 people in the whole world. And Jason Momoa is in it and all of this. And it's a tough watch.
Oh, it's like a fantasy thing?
No, it's fantastic. It's like a post-apocalyptic where
Yeah.
And it's like, what happens if this COVID-19 took out everybody that could see? And they're all like blind people. They're like, they're almost like little dinosaurs walking around that can't see. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild and crazy. But Joey, your call was crazier. That's what I gotta say about that. It was crazier than the show C. You should check it out. Actually, I feel weird going to that place. Next call.
What's up, fellas? What's up, fellas? Maurice out of Andrew, North Carolina. Hey, listen, I got a couple things. First of all, as it pertains to the draft, man, trade back, collect the pieces that we need, give them to Matt Rule, and let's see what he could do with them. As far as a quarterback goes, man, forget about getting those top boys, man. Let that situation iron itself out. Fix the team. Worry about the cherry on top after you bake the cake. My great grandmama always told me, don't pull the cart before the horse, fellas. And right now, we got a whole lot of cart and no horse. So don't worry about, like I said, don't worry about getting a quarterback out the gate. Trade back. Let Fritterer do what he do. Let Matt Rule have the opportunity that he did not get last year because a certain person bitch slapped him. So all I got to say about that is collect as many quality players as you can and plug them into our porous offense, which we're only going to have Moten. We need to tag him, and then we need to take Moten, and take Bridgewater and package them and trade them. And if that's not enough, add CMC on top of that. And let's get under the cap. Let's clear it up for next year. And then let's look for our quarterback. I think, Tony, what you were talking about, the boys from Panther Nation podcast had it right. I remember Dave and Shad saying that what would you rather have? The top 4 quarterback, fourth in the draft, or the best corner? So obviously, like you said, give me Jalen Ramsey. So Jalen's still playing. We've always been based on pride in our defense. Let's get back to that. And we can get a quality quarterback. Jake Delhomme was not Cam Newton, but damn, Jake Delhomme and Steve, man, those guys were inseparable. So let's not just throw all of our don't throw all our capital at the quarterback, man. Deshaun Watson is a shiny new car. Damn, man, give me a Jeep, bro. Let me be able to work on it.
I think he's more than just a shiny Ferrari, though. I think he's like a shiny utility, awesome vehicle, A, and B. Look, I understand the idea of kind of wanting to win with a Jake Delhomme, right? It's ultimately what you're trying to replicate would be what the Rams did with Kurt Warner. Isn't that the best story in the history of football? This guy who didn't get recruited by anybody, nobody gave a shit about, he was bagging groceries, and they called him up when somebody got hurt, and then this motherfucker walked out there and became a Hall of Famer. That's the Kurt Warner story. That is what happened. This mug was bagging groceries and then walked onto this team with an injury or some sort of shit that happened. Then won the starting position. Then became he got 3 Super Bowl rings, and he becomes the best thing ever. I understand that we all want that to happen. But the odds of that happening are more ridiculous than the odds of a first-round pick hitting.
Yeah, and also, it's funny the analogies that we make, because he was like, well, you don't put the buggy in front of the cart in front of the horse, right? Well, in my opinion, the quarterback is the horse in that analogy. He was saying that the quarterback is the cherry on top, and man, it's just a fundamental disagreement. I don't know if you saw our offense this year, but what about it is going to reasonably get better next year? I mean, yeah, I understand, build the team, but I just want everyone to know that, yeah, you can do that, build the football team, and then maybe in a year or two try and trade up for a quarterback. But understand that, one, you're definitely going to have to trade up in one of these next coming years, because if you build up all these other areas and you have a meandering quarterback, we're basically going to be the Bears for the next few years if you did something like that. And then number 2, I just don't. I've been having this conversation with a bunch of people. I don't believe the Panthers are as far away as everybody wants to make it out to be. Yes, I know we have some holes on our defense, but I mean, come on, fellas. Did we not have an opportunity with the ball in Teddy Bridgewater's hands on the last play of 8 different games, and Teddy Bridgewater just couldn't get it done? I mean, if we win 4 or 5 more of those, what's the difference in our season? We might have been a playoff team. Mm-hmm. It's those things that matter.
Imagine if we would have had Deshaun Watson this year.
That's what I'm saying. This might be a playoff team right now.
No, Christian McCaffrey. Whoops. Didn't want to say that out loud. You don't want to say that out loud, right? I mean, but yes, you would to be honest, be up in all of that. But all right, so we've talked about Deshaun Watson potentially becoming a Carolina Panther. That's a storyline. Joe Brady, I think we've all understood. We've had the debates here is whether or not he's ready. Will he be? He's probably cheering for Deshaun Watson more than anybody because his stock is probably going to be on a decline next year if he doesn't.
If we don't do something, if we don't have another quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, if he's got Teddy again, he's going to be like Greg Roman this year.
I saw somebody in the chat earlier.
High-ass name last year, and guess what? Nobody gives a crap about him right now.
What I was going to say is I think earlier in the chat somebody said that what we need to do is we need to keep Teddy Bridgewater for 1 year, wait until Joe Brady gets hired as the head coach next year, and then trade Teddy Bridgewater to his team. I was like, my first immediate thought was why would he do that? Number one, I mean, quite honestly, we're not going to be anything with Teddy Bridgewater under center, and he knows that he has been limited as a play caller heavily due to the fact that we have a middle of the pack quarterback in Bridgewater. But the other part is like, let's be honest. I don't think that we're going to be in a position where we're continuing to have, Joe Brady's going to have a job if we have another just crappy year like we had this year. Like reality is.
So you think that Matt Rule is going to be starting to throw it out there after year 2
with Joe Brady?
With anybody?
I think right now they need to make a decision on how they want to move forward. Right, this is the most important year as far as our quarterback position it goes about where we're going. Because right now, like, I mean, I know there's always going to be good talent coming out of the draft every year. There's always opportunities and whatnot, but this year feels like it's different, right? As far as quarterback talent goes, like it doesn't feel like it's just the same old. It actually feels like we have a group of quarterbacks that can all be considered franchise quarterbacks in this league. And if we pass on this, we may be passing on the opportunity to have a fantastic franchise quarterback for the next decade. And so I don't like the idea of continuing down the path of mediocrity.
Brett 11 says, I want a good tight end so bad, and so does every dude in the world.
Amen, brother.
That's what we want to know. Who does a good tight end? Just not in the first round. That takes sloppy seconds. Comes to a tight end. Somebody brought up this. Who is Kevin? What about Marty Herney? I got heartburn just saying his name. Oh my God.
Washington
coming up. Marty Herney. Tell me. I'm a lot. Look, I'm burping it all up. What do you want me to say about it, Cody? You want to pay Greg some money? He didn't take your bet.
No, he didn't. He should have, man. I tried to tell him.
Tell him what the hell happened.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, if Marty Herney, as Tony alluded to in last show, there will be times when me and Greg are just having a full-blown debate in our little chat room. And me and Greg were talking about this. I'm like, dude, if Marty Herney is as good as you say he is, bet me that he's going to have a job, that someone's going to hire him somewhere. And he wouldn't take the bet. He wouldn't take it. And let alone, he would have won.
I had a fantastic comment. It's almost as though, I saw this on Twitter, somebody said, it's almost as though Ron Rivera's just blinding loyalty was one of his faults at Carolina. You know, but I mean, I will say this much. I think
start this season would be the question.
Yeah, I'm going to say this because I think it's 100% reality. The things that you're going to hear about Marty Herney from the Redskins organization are the same things that we've been touting about him when we talk about not letting him go, right? You're going to hear, and it's the same thing. Here's the funny thing about all of this is all of this in a vacuum. Right now, we hired Scott, and we're looking at all the positives. Have we yet to look at any of his negatives? No, because we have optimism about his future. right?
Well, we haven't had any negatives either. This is the great
haven't looked at them
about these secret hires.
Yeah.
Look, y'all told me about all these people who are in these secondary positions. So that's the thing is he's never been the dude that had to take the shit.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a bad draft pick doesn't go on him. A bad draft pick didn't go on Jeff Ireland. It didn't because they're like the second man. So all we talk about is opportunity with guys like this, and we hope that they're gonna bring us sunshine and flowers and whatever lilies or whatever flowers we need to feel good. But he is perfect until he's not, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I think what my point is that right now a lot of Washington fans have stars in their eyes because what they're seeing is what he has done successfully. And I think what's happened with Panthers fans,
yeah,
you know, and what I think is it's just with anything is we haven't been successful. So what we're looking at is everything that we think he's done wrong. Whereas they're looking at all the positives and they found that that's valuable. I mean, you got to think.
A good thing though for the Washington football team and their fans, why they could be excited is they haven't had a GM, they haven't had a president, they haven't had Indians for like 4 years. It's been a wild, weird ride for them where they didn't have those typical positions.
Yeah.
And now finally Schneider is like, well, maybe he's not, but he brought Ron Rivera in there to tell him to stop spending money at the strip club. Basically, that's what he did. He brought Ron Rivera in to be his homie that said, stop being like a bitch ass Jerry Jones. I ain't got, that's what he told. And Ron Rivera now is taking over that. Now Marty Herney. But ultimately, I mean, maybe that they get them far on that defense. They're going to be 12-4, this and that. But I think you're going to say the same things, Cody, about the, I guess, tenure of Marty Herney. Not bad. It's like we're not trying to sit here and say like you need to tell Marty Herney he's a dick sucker or not. What I'm just saying is it's actually an upgrade for a team that didn't have a GM.
But here's my question: is why would they find?
A great question. Do you think it's an upgrade if you were a team without a GM?
I mean, no, man. Anytime you hire a GM whose fan base has nothing good to say about him other than he was
so you would not have a GM like they have had for 3 years. They have not had a GM. They have had no direction at all. They drafted Dwayne Haskins. They cut him. They this and that.
They've also built one of the best defensive lines in football. They've also built one of the best defensive lines in football too.
By accident, bro. By accident.
Those is a bunch of first-round picks they put.
Yeah. Imagine not having a person in that position.
But yeah, this is what you're saying though. It's like you're
a person there.
Hey, Cody, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Did Marty Herney not build one of the best defensive lines in Carolina?
Bye.
Listen, Brian Burns. Hold on. Brian Burns, Gross Matos. You could have your argument about that. You got to keep in mind he was responsible for old English guy. I can't even remember his name anymore.
Obata.
Yeah, Obata. But guess what? He also did this year. He's got 2 players on the defensive All-Pro list. You know how rare that is to have 2 people on the defensive All-Pro rookie list? I mean, and he did, Marty Herney did that. Derek Brown and Jeremy Chin are both on that list. Right now, I mean, it looks like there is a possibility that Marty Herney has, and you got to keep in mind, you're basing Washington's over years of that front line being successful with their most incredible draft pick this year, which was an easy one with Chase Young. Right, you can't sit there and say they built the best offensive line or defensive line when the best person on that line was the number 1 pick That was, I mean, or at least the second pick. Like that was a no-brainer pick, right? But if you're going to go that route, you got to look at it from that perspective too. Marty Hurney's going over there with a opportunity to do something, right? He has the opportunity to build something. And I think that you got to keep in mind too, they did see something in Marty Hurney, right? They passed on all of the other opportunities out there. Think about that.
Cody, don't listen to him. Don't even have to listen to that. Just say this. This is nepotism. This is
by the way, this is how all people get hired in sports. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
It's just dude, I know someone that was with me when I was over here, and they can vouch for me and they know all the bullshit that I went through, and that's really what it is. It's Ron Rivera kind of sticking true to his guns.
Hired Marty Hurney, like Marty Hurney hired Ron.
I think you're right. I think there's nepotism, but you got to keep in mind, Ron Rivera isn't the final decision maker. Here's the thing. You wanted the entire time to blame Marty Hurney for everything, and you said he was the final decision maker, right? We know it's Snyder who made the decision to hire Marty Hurney. He's the final decision maker. So he had the opportunity to hire anybody he wanted to. He looked at the history that Marty Hurney had, and he took Ron Rivera's word and said, this is worth it.
Yeah, this is also the guy that wanted to draft Dwayne Haskins last year.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a good thing when the owner of the Washington football team likes what you're doing.
But I'm just saying, you got to admit that Marty Hurney is an attractive position.
No, he's not. No, he isn't. He's not.
He got a job above like the 7 other people
that you liked above. Like he got a job above those people.
Hey,
he is attractive in that
and this is what Cody's going to end up arguing at the end of the day, is that no matter what happens in Washington, they're going to be 9-7, 7-9, 10. That's what he's going to argue. All right, so we had Greg, who's supposed to hit us up with the question of the week. So I'm going to challenge him.
Oh, yeah.
Not here. But he said, and we're going to spend like 1.5 minutes on this, 2 minutes tops, because we may get out of here at a reasonable time, which is 2.5 hours. Ultimately, is 2 draft picks. You're at number 8. We don't care about any trades. We don't care about nothing other than you're the GM, Cody. Trey Lance is on the board and Patrick Surtain. Those are only 2 possible picks.
Yeah, we did this earlier. You don't remember this?
We did not do this tonight.
You did do this earlier. I answered. I even told about that guy I wrote about.
Sure, but who would, at the end of the day, if you're the GM, who do you select right here?
Trey Lance. I don't believe in this mindset of build the football team first and hope that we see some kind of stride in our defense next year and maybe Bridgewater will be better. No, he won't be better. We have an opportunity picking in the top 10.
And what if you build the defense and then you're still where you're at and you get the guy that's better than Trey Lance next year?
I mean, right now, the quarterback class next year does not look even halfway as promising.
Well, have we looked at North Dakota State? I mean, like, they might have the best.
They might have a backup that'll come in and be a first-round pick.
Can I ask you a question on that? Because I think it's important, too. You said that you don't build the football team before getting the quarterback. So can you name me a reason why you think that's the truth?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, no, this is easy.
By the way.
What'd you say, Tony?
I said my hair looks great in 1080p. Off subject.
My answer is very short. Chicago Bears. That's what you're hoping to build. If you do that, then and by all you can say is, okay, they managed to scrape into a playoff 2 years in a row.
No. Can we also talk about the other alternative? Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs.
They moved up.
Built a team. They built a team before they got their quarterback. They had a team before they got a quarterback.
Well, that's not even true. They thought they had their quarterback, Alex Smith, for a long time.
They didn't think that. No, they didn't ever think that. And Andy Reid was ready to bench him at the first point. Nah, they didn't ever really
He played
believe.
well the year before, or like the year they drafted Patrick Mahomes.
Hey, let's also look at this. Let's look at the fact that when the Broncos ended up picking up Peyton Manning, they had a team. They had a team built prior to Peyton Manning getting there, right? Let's also go over to the 49ers, where I think that what you're going to look at is Garoppolo came over to a team that was pretty much built. There were still some pieces that were missing, but Garoppolo came in, and now all of a sudden they were a Super Bowl caliber team.
Yeah, but even then it wasn't enough. Like, that's my point. If you have a Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback, you're limited. Like, you're hoping to build a one-off, like Trent Dilfer with the Ravens type of team, where you built this incredible football team, and then they were able to, make an average quarterback better than it was. And I just don't think that's a reasonable.
I'll bring you another one. Dak Prescott. He came into one of the easiest situations. There was a team that was built for him. Offensive line. He had the run game now with Ezekiel Elliott. He had wide receivers. Well, the wide receivers question mark, but he had a defense. And then they came in, and his first year, he just tore things out of the water.
Yeah,
right?
but how many quarterbacks have been third-round draft picks since Dak Prescott?
But my point is that he came into a pre-built team, and they had a recipe for success over multiple years, right? And it didn't get them to the Super Bowl, certainly, but I think there was limitations there. But you can look at the Chiefs are the prime example of why the other alternative is not true, right? Where building the team first makes sense. Cam Newton is a prime example of why you build your team first.
I mean, yeah, but then listen, there are also like you build the team first, but then there are examples of guys grabbing their quarterback and building around them. And Josh Allen is also an example of this. They were in position and they got their quarterback, and they still needed a bunch of pieces. But listen, you're going to be able to find examples for both of them. I'm just saying for us going forward, it feels like we could happen into a playoff run. We could mess around and be a playoff team if we drafted a good quarterback. Whereas if we had a really good football team and an average meandering quarterback, then it's probably we're hoping for everything to go right, pretty much.
Yeah, well, and you're right. You're going to be able to
for next week then.
So what?
What's the question for next week then? All right. So last week, Greg posed us with this question of Trey Lance or Surtain. How about this? What about Trey Lance or Justin Fields? Are you so you're trying to tell me that Trey Lance is the dude, bro?
Yeah, I haven't done my official rankings yet. I might have him. By the time it's all said and done, I might have. I don't know this yet. I'm just saying it's a possibility that I could rate Trey higher than Justin, man, because I have concerns about Justin Fields' body being able to hold up. I've mentioned that before.
Yeah, no, you've been explicit on that. So the number is 252-228-5098. You can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. And the question for next week is, if we only had 2 picks, and someone asked me this actually on Twitter, is like, why you only give me 2 answers? Well, because we're 5 months away from the draft. That's why, or 4 months away from the draft. Really, it's not about whether we should take a left tackle, whether we should take a corner, whether we should take a quarterback. We're just having a thought experiment right now. 2 names. I'm going to be the guy, since Greg is not here, like a schlub. That's what I tell him. Nah, I love Greg. I don't care. Like, look, guys, y'all are the beautiful. We just hang out here talking Panthers football. But my question to you is, what was it? Trey Lance or Justin Fields? And I actually think that's a legitimate question. I truly do. Is that I don't think that just holding on to the Justin Fields as the consensus number 2 is entirely what's going to happen. But that will be the question for next week. So we've talked about our new GM. We've talked about Joe Brady staying. We've talked about Deshaun Watson. I think that's it when it comes to Panthers news. So now we just got to ice some fools up. Right?
So,
I think that's where we're at. So who's ice up pick? I iced myself up last week, so I feel like I should be able to go last. Like I'm on cool ice.
He's going to call that CK hit him.
You go.
Oh, you're pointing at me? I thought you were
Oh, no, he didn't raise his hand.
So now you're pushing me to the front of the class. All right.
So you.
Yeah, Fred.
Man, who do I want to ice up? Hey, how about I just ice up all of us? Because not a one of our asses has a fucking ice up pick.
I know. We're all on our...
yeah, we're all like, you want to go? You want to go?
Well, yes, why don't we warm up a pick tonight? We'll be like, all right, so CK, first of all, do you have a nice up pick?
As with this the last week.
Then I'm gonna warm something up if he doesn't.
I have one. I just came up with one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, mine's very simple and it's just kind of low hanging fruit, but I feel like it is true. It might be easy, but I'll be damned if I don't believe it. Man, the fact that Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach.
Oh yeah.
And that it's looking like, and that it's looking
this ice up pick.
Yeah, it's looking like he's not going to be a head coach. Now, granted, I'll say this: we've been talking about Deshaun all night. In my mind, that is literally the one thing that they could do to say to Deshaun, "Hey, listen, we're going to build something around you here in Houston." And by the way, that was the guy that that Deshaun wanted the Texans to interview the entire time.
Yeah.
So in my mind, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. But if another season comes and goes, and Eric Bieniemy is not a head coach, man, this is just the most baffling shit in the world to me.
I don't think it is
baffling. It's called racism.
But okay, but is it though?
It's not. Yes, at some point. Racism that means racism. Is like don't give me the shit that he's with a team that made the playoffs, so we don't want to interview him. Like we might lose 2 weeks. I don't want to hear that bullshit.
No.
Yeah, I think Greg Roman is a good example. He's not black, which is that is not the best parallel.
Yeah,
but Greg Roman was the hottest name last year.
Yeah,
the nobody. But that team had a big decline. Guess what has been going steady with the Kansas City Chiefs and Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah,
worthy of a nice up.
I think I think the other part too, though, there's another shoe that drops with that, and then we can move on because we're at the end. But I mean, I've heard reports that his interviews have not been good.
That's what white people say. That's what white people say about black people.
Yeah, but coming out of Atlanta, I don't know if that's necessarily true either.
But it's also like who's saying that? Like all these other, like it's established that Andy Reid has a coaching tree. Ron Rivera came from the Andy Reid coaching tree. Sean McDermott came from that coaching tree. Like Matt Nagy from the Bears. A lot of people are talking about why
ridiculous to say that the coaching tree sucks, because then that means that nobody from Belichick would work.
I mean,
right? The coaching tree has sucked. Like he had the Detroit guy, this and that. No, you cannot. I don't know. It's just.
I hear what you're saying. Like my thing is this
fucking strange.
Everybody, it is strange.
Offense. You're trying to tell me that Joe Brady this white kid that might have some Indian in him. That's what I always say is that you can get some.
You can meet your diversity quota by hiring him.
Yeah, because he's got 117
that's so messed up.
Native American in him. But no, I'm sorry. Is that this? We saw, and maybe you could just say it's Andy Reid only. All right. So if you want to be the plantation manager and be like, what's the owner only? I'm sorry, man. Is that Bieniemy's offense and what he's been a part of, the experience, all of this is far superior than so much we've seen.
And that's why it baffles me, though. I'm saying, is it just because
it's
right? Yeah, that's why it's my ice up. I'm saying, is it just because he's black? Robert Saleh got hired. He's a defensive guy, and he's I believe he's mixed, I think. But dude, I mean, it doesn't make sense. And then apparently, Jim Caldwell is back in the mix in Houston also.
Oh gosh,
I don't know, man. And then we have people.
You don't find look, they fired Jim Caldwell unfairly. Look, if there's been
a lot of people said
that I want to get upset about in getting fired, if Jim Caldwell got fired when he had like 11 wins. That's what this. And the other was Schottenheimer or whatever for a bunch of old billionaires, man.
People in the chat room are saying that he doesn't impress in his interviews. That like he's not.
Man,
but isn't that mean? Like, let me ask you guys. I mean, racism is something that I think we can all agree exists. They're systemic and it's out there. But isn't it possible they just didn't like him? Like, isn't that possible in this case? I mean, 3 years in a row.
I think we have to at least consider that it might be a factor.
Who did they hire in Detroit, though? Like somebody we ain't ever heard of.
It's so weird, though, because every time you ever see an interview with him or listen to him talk to Patrick Mahomes or watch him call plays on the sideline, the dude seems incredible. Like, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's why I'm so confused. That's why I'm icing up the NFL, because it's like, what's the disconnect here? It seems like he is literally everything that you would want in a head coach.
It's strange. All right, who ice up pick? Let me see if I got an ice up pick. I don't got an ice up pick. I had a congratulate. Oh, I'm gonna get nope. CK, what you got?
I got one. It's not. Yeah. I'm gonna be very vague with mine because of the situations.
That's the better to do.
If you're going to be someone who is overly critical about somebody else's performance and anything that you do, right? While also doing that same, like performing in some way, shape, or form the exact same thing, or if not worse, don't put yourself in a position to act like you're better than anybody because you think that you know more when you clearly don't. There's some things going on. I can explain to you guys off stream, not a problem. But when you want to put the problems of a team on somebody else's shoulders, but when you look at it in a vacuum, it's quite literally your problem and what you're doing that's wrong. And the things that are going on in your life that's causing you to kind of lash out on your squad mates, then you listen, that don't put your emotions, your outside life on your teammates, because that's the way to lose people. Anyway, ice up this specific person.
All right, I like that.
I have to be very vague. Sorry, guys.
I don't have you know what? My ice up pick will be to this, and it's not actually about people who have the opinion. I guess I don't know. I'm trying to guard myself from this, but ultimately, is people have said that Twitter, Facebook, and all of this are impeding on free speech because they banned the president. I actually do not agree with the banning of President Trump. I did not think I don't necessarily think we talked about previously, CK.
Yeah.
Like, just not enough for me, to be so discriminately abrasive.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm just not. I mean, it's just was not so distinctly clear to where I'm ready to cancel cancel. But at the same time, I do want to remind people that the Constitution protects free speech against the government.
Yeah.
Not like against the government, by the government. It would be the better way of saying it. Is ultimately the Bill of Rights, the First Amendments to the Constitution say Congress can make no law about speech. So I just want you guys to just remember this as we run around and argue and fight with people. Look, I think your opinion is valid. I do think your opinion is valid. Like, I just don't want to tell you, like, oh, no, like you don't know shit about the Constitution or something like that. But ultimately, the Constitution does not protect you to say anything. And it doesn't protect private businesses. And like, you know, it's just not, it's kind of a straw man argument.
Yeah.
Is ultimately what I'm trying to get at. Now, if you want to have a conversation about whether or not businesses that their whole and sole device is to spread your individual word, and if they should be able to censor individuals and this and that, then we can talk about that. But ultimately, you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. You can't go onto a plane and yell bomb, or you shouldn't, should I say. And I'm just saying this is not a constitutional problem, it's a social problem. And we just got to figure out this is that, like, if you want to support those platforms that do those things, then support them. If you don't, then get off of them. So ice up to the idea that government is the problem, as well as antithetically shouldn't be the problem. That's it. All right. C3 Panthers podcast numbers 252-228-5098. You can call in. You can find Cody Lashney. Where else are you hanging out on the internet, homie?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at Cody Lax, CODYLAC. I got some things cooking. We're going to be cooking up some draft content here eventually. I might upload some stuff to this channel, maybe to my own channel, looking at some draft prospects at some point in time. And as always, you can find all my content written on drafttech.com for the Carolina Panthers. And there is a brand new mock draft up right now. And after the playoffs are over, it's going to be a brand new mock draft every week. So check me out.
CK, should we keep it or get rid of it?
The new setup?
Yeah.
I like it, man. And I'll be doing some things. Like I'm going to ask you to send me the overlay, and maybe I can do some work on that. Maybe get it animated. As long as that'll be something that it works with, get you a PNG instead of that square logo you have up there. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I like it. I don't know. What about you, Cody? What do you think?
I'm enjoying it, man. I do wish it would give me the ability to highlight comments, because I could just throw them up there like they were.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to delegate this shit to y'all.
Yeah,
I want to come up and be my cool Cam Newton self with my great.
You want to sit there and look like a 1980s mob boss.
Yeah,
I feel like this takes off the load from your CPU as well, Tony, because you're really only having to upload one way instead of receive and then upload. You know?
It's actually been a little simpler for me, and I've had fun tonight. So you can follow me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. You can follow CK Codizzle_Allen, right?
Yeah, on Facebook. On all social media, really, you can find me. And like I said, I'll be doing a monthly giveaway on this stream if you guys want to check it out. I'll be doing like secret codes in the stream comments, so that way you guys can go and get your entries in. But keep an eye out, and like I said, show up, show out, and we'll talk some Panthers if you want to in chat. Just come by and say, hey, what's up?
Like my man Jermaine Gill says, is buy stamps. some C3 Panthers stamps, and what I mean by that is this mug was expensive. The StreamYard is expensive as mug. I've been freelancing since 2013 up in this mug. All right, Smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the podcast. My name's Tony Dunn. The number is 252-228-5098. And every Tuesday night, live at 9 p.m., we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. And if we miss something, call in. That's right. Subscribe. Have fun. Cody Lashney's going to draft us a damn tight end probably in the draft. See you next Tuesday.
North Dakota State.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Really just messing with my heart. I'm ending the broadcast right now.
Later.